This week on RSBANDB Update, Princess and the Pauper restores the promise of standalone quests with man's best friend. The road to restoration beckons for deep and insightful discussions with the first glimpse of the direction RuneScape could take in the new era. This is RSBANDB Update, episode 1075, recorded Thursday, February 5th, 2026. Friction and fun. Hello everybody and welcome back to RSBANDB Update. This week, of course, we have Quest Week going on. Princess and the Pauper, the doggo quests. Zerdones, welcome
We love
back.
a dog quest. Happy to be here. Always happy here for a dog quest.
Everyone's favorite clan quester, welcome.
Heck yeah.
Also joining us is Avernick from the Scrying Pool. Quest Week, you had to be on, right?
Yes, very excited. And Zerdones, you misspoke. We enjoy every quest.
We do, but we especially enjoy a dog quest.
Yeah, nothing bad happened to Princess.
Don't pick favorite children.
Or
No.
the other dog, which is good. Which is very good.
That's good. No
Also
tragedy.
good.
Also joining us here is Lemon for a various number of reasons. You initially wanted to be here for the combat beta, but things happened that prevented us from discussing that this week, so we're going to discuss the game design vision thread as well, which you're also very interested in. But welcome back, Lemon.
Always good to be here. It's a shame that Jagexs has it out for you with releasing big things on Fridays.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect timing for them to not make it into the recording and then make whatever we say today irrelevant.
So we're just not going to,
Yay.
rather than trying to get everybody back and do an addendum tomorrow. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention your biggest accomplishment. And maybe this isn't your biggest RS accomplishment, but I see it as a pretty big one. Ranked 60th Ironman character in the world. I feel like I have to mention that most every time. So well done. And, I think with what we're going to be talking about makes a lot of sense that you're here. So thank you. But this episode would not be doable without our experienced here Patreon members. So with that, big, huge thank you goes out to Amos Reed, Bladecom, Dominic R., Jade Gizmo, Jason S., Jesse W., Julia W., Kesky, Lemon Lounge, Luminos, Ricky A., Scio Aces, Snail Mage, The Naked Captain, and Tim. If you want to hear more about that and our Patreon offerings, you'll join us in the middle of the show over at patreon.com/RSBANDB. Yes, that was an early plug, but if you want the full show notes for this episode to see what we're going to talk about, you can find those over at update.show. We also have a friends chat that you can find in-game at BitsBytes in the community Discord over at update.show/Discord. So let's just dive into Princess and the Pauper. Is that how we pronounce that? Pauper? What is a Pauper?
Pauper?
No,
Pauper? It's a poor
Pauper.
pauper.
it's a pauper.
It's a pavo.
Okay.
Did you never read... Shane, did you never read The Prince and the Pauper growing up?
No.
What? I feel like this is the conversation that you had in Discord the other day about Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, Shane, what is your life?
I don't watch movies.
It's a book!
I know, but this wasn't on any reading list I had.
It's one of those classic fairy tale stories.
Mm.
I mean, it bears absolutely no resemblance to this quest whatsoever.
Okay, well then...
It is a name.
It's just a good
It is a
pun
name. It is a good pun name.
Well, then let's just go into the quest then. The idea behind this quest is that there's been a number of thefts around the kitchen in the Fort Forward 3 Fort, and our whole goal being, of course, the Duke or Duchess or Ducks of the fort is to help Rodney and figure out exactly where the food was going. So let's just put this on the table here that, if we didn't know offhand that this was a dog quest.
Certainly becomes obvious pretty quickly.
It becomes obvious very quick. Were there any initial thoughts as to where the food might have gone or been taken?
I feel like we kind of knew.
We didn't have the opportunity to speculate between news announcements and
Well,
knowing the premise of the quest.
yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty clear if you thought about where it was going, it was pretty clear it was going to end up being another dog.
Yeah, which
And
is always
where is the
it's always
only place where
nice
there
one.
are dogs?
Varrock.
Yeah, the only other dogs in the game.
Varrock, of course.
Hmm.
So we set out on a goal to figure out where the food was taken and who took it in particular, or what dog took it. And all of a sudden, Princess starts talking to us with the Amulet of Human Speak.
That's a nice deep cut.
Yeah,
lore
that was a
reference.
nice touch, hey? Because there was the Amulet of Dog Speak, and we have the Cramulet and everything else to that effect. So,
I do believe that the reference Rodney is making when he talks about who he got to make it is Karos, so we can add one more person to
Oh yeah,
the list of people Rodney slept with.
and the
which
list of
should
people
be
that Karos has
should be a
seduced.
section on his wiki page. Yes.
I was
At
reading
this
some
point.
things that people were wondering if Zemregal would work into this quest, given he's still in our little dungeon down there.
There really should be some dialogue with him. I don't know if there is. I didn't think to check. I just asked Dark. She almost certainly checked.
She probably did.
I can't say this for certain, but when very early in the quest when we're talking to Aster and Civ, we do mention Guard Captain Sophia, and technically by requirements, we wouldn't have to have hired her yet if you did this
Mhm.
quest as soon as you could. So I wonder if there's conditional dialogue.
Oh, that's a fair
There.
point.
That's a good point.
So Zemo might not even have a reason
Yeah.
to exist.
He doesn't have to technically be there when you do this quest. You could do this right after Murder on the Border if you had 25
Right.
cooking. Or in
Right,
Origins.
right.
And it's just a nice little distraction and diversion quest to kind of fill out that questing space. Because I think now is probably a good time to bring that up, because they stopped doing these quests basically after 2013, right? When the 6th Age stuff started. And they really stopped
Not
doing them.
entirely,
I
but
feel like
mostly.
we go in and out in waves. Like this is similar to, I feel like last year at Star Sprite and Duck Quest.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of them come out of game jams, whereas this one didn't, which is maybe
Yeah.
an interesting point, that this was done a lot more intentionally.
Yeah, like
and-
what's the order on this? Like, you order a quest like this, what do you like? Obviously, a quest is a quest, and that's good, and we're happy about it. But when you order a quest like this and put it into the schedule, what are you trying to do to the game?
I mean, I feel like, especially given a lot of the stuff about direction that we'll come back to later on, I feel like the thing you're looking for is low stakes, funny, classics feeling, like
variation
something that
off of a main
feels like
story.
it could have come out in 2007.
Right.
Let's say.
Yeah.
Feels like it could have been like a my mind wants to say sheep shearer, which is a terrible example, but something
also-
of that scale.
I think I also saw one of the project goals was no new assets. So I feel like
Right. Yeah, Chief
It's-
Quest, yeah.
it's trying to get some quest content in a little bit of a lull, low burden to
Yeah.
build. No, it's still content, still develop content, but like not take time from things like Haven Height or BOH or whatever.
Right. You're not taking
environment.
animation budget, you're not taking graphics budget, you're taking one dev. I don't know how long it would take them to make a quest like this, but it's scripting time and QA time, and that's basically it.
And there's really no new assets in it either graphically, right? So it
No,
can't be that
no.
big. So, okay. Nobody saw anything with me frantically waving my hands about, did you? No.
Certainly not.
No, of course not. Good. Good. That's a little sign to me, because I might have accidentally stopped the timer. So nobody make any mistakes going forward. We'll be fine. We'll be
No
fine.
pressure.
No pressure.
What are the words I can't say? No.
Okay. But yes, I'm sure we'd all like our own animals in real life to have amulets of human speak, wouldn't you guys?
It would make
Wouldn't
my
it get
life so
annoying?
much easier.
I feel like I would have to be. Oh, this is going to make me sound terrible. I feel like I would have to be a little bit more responsive to the needs of my cat. It would be harder to ignore him and keep playing.
It'd be
RuneScape.
hard to say no. It'd be harder to yeah.
Man, you have not met my cats.
They just don't care?
Meow, 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 meow.
Oh,
My cat has become noisy lately, and her recent obsession is she wants to get on the bathroom sink to then drink from it quotes, but actually just kind of like run the side of her body along this on the water. And she doesn't jump very much anymore, so you have to pick her up so she can do this to herself. And then when she's done, you have to put her back down.
Wonderful.
I don't have any animals. I'm allergic, so I feel like I've dodged a bullet here.
Yeah.
In some ways, but I mean, there's a reason that we put up with all of their hijinks.
Of course.
It's a blessing and a curse.
And the same reason we have the loving nature. I know they have a loving nature, and that's what we're primarily getting with the quest here. The next big thing in the quest was the scavenger hunt, effectively using Princess as the tracking tool. I thought this was really well done mechanically.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't like it.
Oh, no!
I liked... Yeah, go ahead. What did you not like about it?
Part of the reason why I didn't like it is I felt like it wanted me to be in very specific places.
Mm.
Yep.
And I don't know if I'm bad at reading or if I was just trying to jump the gun, because we all know who did it.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh, okay, right. Okay. Yeah. The dog, right. It's going to be in Varrock. It's going to be somewhere. Let me go to the city. And it's like, no. You need to ask Princess to have a sniff around right outside of the, what is it? The blue, is that the Blue Moon?
The Jolly Boar.
Jolly Boar.
Jolly Boar. Yep.
Right out in front of it, right next to the wilderness wall. I'm like, well, but they told me to go southwest or southeast or south or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would have.
Yeah.
It just said not here, or.
I did like the mechanic. I did have a similar issue on that more on a technical level, because I twigged to the fact that, okay, I've got to go outside and I've got to talk to Princess. The problem is I didn't go outside far enough.
Oh.
So I was sitting like one tile outside of the doors, and I was talking to Princess, and she's like, not close enough. So I'm like, oh, okay. So maybe I do have to go. So I ended up doing a lap of Varrock before I realized, oh no, you actually just need to stand closer to the wall, and that's where the hot spot is.
Yeah,
so
you need to go north
janky
before you can go south, obviously.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have minded that. It's just like I was outside. I was where you wanted me to be, game.
Yeah.
Sort yourself out.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
My issues tended to be that the destinations it wanted to go were on one side of a wall, and I was always on the other side of the wall. So I was just outside the Jolly Boar, and I thought I was like looking for scraps or something, or I was just outside Vera or the Cabbage Patch area, and maybe some slight jankiness issues because this was the same mechanic from Murder on the Border that you used with her. So I think for the
just a much larger area,
it was very contained, and you couldn't be on the wrong side of a wall or anything.
Yeah, I had a similar issue. I initially thought that instead of the Cabbage Patch, you had to go to the Blue Moon, because I was thinking, oh, pubs, that makes sense. But no, I was wrong.
At a point, after enough messing it up times, I just talked to her every 3 steps.
I think that's the way to do it. It's a very manual, compass clue stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe they could add some of those, some indicator like we have from scanning clues or something to make it a little clearer. But
I think
what you said about this being the same. Sorry, what was that, Shane?
I said I think it worked for what it needed to do, but carry on.
Yeah. I feel like if what you said, Avernick, about this being a reused mechanic makes a lot of sense, right? Like, if you were designing this for this quest, you would probably do it a little bit differently.
Sure. Yeah.
All
that being said, on the flip side, I love reusing mechanics. I think we should do it more. I think too many bespoke quest mechanics get thrown aside, and then when we decide to reuse them with things like Battle of the Monolith, somehow they go horribly wrong, and then we don't do it again.
Yeah.
So I'd like some more success stories of using a mechanic more than once.
Yeah.
Yes, it would be nice.
And I mean, hey, at the end of the day, worst, it becomes like a compass clue, and then you're able to get to that Cabbage Patch in South Varrock, which you meet the Stray and request a Princess special containing specially tenderized beef, perfectly smoked pink salmon, and then a very fancy Dougal leaf. I knew that was going to be the ingredient even before I got there. Something just told me that you know what it was.
Gertrude's cat being a prerequisite is a little bit of a giveaway that you're going to have to go talk to Gertrude at some point.
Yeah.
I went and I just grabbed a Dougal leaf because I'm like,
Oh,
it's
no.
obviously a Dougal leaf.
No, it's got to
You
be
can't
the special
use
one.
a Dougal leaf.
You
have to
guys
use
are
the
too
special
smart
one.
for these quests.
Yeah.
Skipping steps.
Well, see, I went to the
um,
red berry bush because I don't keep red berries.
It said you had to pick the juiciest.
Yeah.
So you had to get the
And it
juicy
did give
one.
you the option for the juiciest one or whatever. So,
Yeah.
Which I mean, that's
I guess
okay.
I should have known that.
Because it creates a unified quest experience for everybody.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of rewarding players for outside the box. Like, I realize it's more work to do, but I like the idea of rewarding players for outside the box solutions. One thing that kind of annoyed me is, so to get the extra tender meat, you need to get some raw meat and then use a hammer on it.
Yeah.
My thought, like, I figured that was probably the solution. But
Don't we have
my
a meat
thought
tenderizer item from the Culinary chest?
Exactly. So I went down and I went and grabbed the meat tenderizer. I was like, hey, I'm being clever. But no, it doesn't work, which I think is a missed opportunity, but it's a minor.
Yeah.
Again, it's a minor complaint.
And it's a regular hammer, not the tool belt.
It's a regular hammer. Yeah, you can't do it on the tool belt. You need to go and get a hammer, which luckily you can get one for free in Lumbridge.
Well, thankfully, I haven't cleaned my bank. I still have like a dozen plus of them in there.
Yeah, that works too.
Shane, what are you doing?
Oh, my bank's
He's starting
atrocious.
the hammer collection.
It's better than it used to be, but it's still, there's all sorts
He's
of
counting on that integrity update that removes the tool belt.
treasures in there.
He's gonna profit.
I actually had a conversation with somebody about the tool belt earlier this week, and I really think this is a wild tangent, but like there was a point in time where like you had to like add everything to the tool belt,
yes,
and now it just comes pre-populated. They need to go back to where you needed to add everything to the tool belt.
Yeah,
So
I agree with that.
I think there's something to like adding a hatchet to a tool belt, adding your ring mold to a tool belt, et cetera, et cetera. I think something's lost there. But anyway, this is a wild tangent.
No, fair.
I don't know if that needs to be done, but we can spar on that another day.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm with you on that one. You have support.
We'll talk about that when we talk about removing lodestones.
Sure.
Ooh. All right. So you make the princess special, and then you bring it back to the dog, and then you get a new friend for the fort. You bring them both back home. After you
new friend,
and then we have to build a house.
After you take the big scary dog away from the Blue Moon Inn.
Yes,
and the cook.
We take the dog away from the big scary
boar.
Chef.
Yeah, we have Princess go and savage the chef.
I thought that was hilarious.
I really liked I really liked the sound effect that they used. The sound design was really good. Just the absolute like bear mauling sound.
and you know, I was just thinking when it comes to sounds, they obviously used real dog sounds, and the reason I mentioned that is because the baby dinosaurs, are actually based off of dog sounds that are just slightly edited.
I remember seeing that. Mod, was it Surma posted a video about it? Yeah. Behind the scenes video following the dogs around the offices with the mics.
Yeah, and the one that accidentally took a bathroom break in the office. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll happen.
These things happen.
That's dogs, man.
Yeah.
That's dogs.
So, but it's nice at the end. You know, there's a new doghouse. You get to bring a stray home. I mean, who wouldn't want to bring a stray home?
You get to name the stray
like that. What'd you guys name him?
Bagel.
Okay.
Bagel is a good name. I went Doug.
Doug's a great name.
I was very tempted towards both Cat for the obvious reason and Monty for personal reasons.
Right. Clifford. Clifford's an option. Sorry, I went Jasper.
You went Jasper?
Okay. I did Duke for the funny.
Yeah.
Duke for the funny.
So when I'm not there's still a Duke.
See, I didn't want to be outranked by my dog.
And according to the trivia entry, for the quest here, the first three dog names of Fred, Tim, and Monty are name of Mod Shrek's dogs.
Oh, okay.
Aww.
Yes.
She was polling people for dog names in the Discord at a certain point for a day or two. So I'm sure most of the other ones came from there.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
I mean, Clifford's obvious.
Yeah.
Doug, they say, is Doug the pug from the internet. Jasper from Ren and Stimpy. Yeah. Lobo may be a reference to the Spanish and Portuguese words, or the Animal Crossing wolf villager Lobo. And Marley from Marley and Me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
if I had to give one little miss that I think Zerones we talked about briefly, not building the doghouse ourselves, even if it's not a building for later.
We were going to talk about that.
Were we?
Yeah.
Did I skip something?
This is a topic.
Because I feel like there's people who would, want this as a fort entry.
Full on fort entry, yeah, that'd be
that's
premium,
a bit excessive.
Best case scenario, but maybe this wasn't the content.
But I don't know that that's needed.
No, I agree. I mean,
it's not necessary. Yeah,
it's always a nice reward, but yeah, I don't think it was needed for this. But
sure.
I agree, it would have been nice to run it through the construction code rather than just
put a hotspot over there and then
put a hotspot. I mean, even having a blueprint on the blueprint table.
For a one-off, like the lodestone or the gatehouse type thing.
Yeah. Oh, so just a one-off thing, not necessarily.
I'm fine with a one-off.
Yeah, just like we have not necessarily
you can go place. Something's being built.
Okay.
Everything in this place we built except Bill built that one house. So we threw him a bone. Pun intended.
Fair enough.
Well, not everything. We did not build the dungeon under the command center.
Oh, you're right.
That was
just kind
Bill's
of
hobby
appeared.
project.
We accidentally built our fort over a dungeon
time.
ruins.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
what Bill does.
That. We don't judge.
Actually, the Stray Dogs doghouse is a mini model of his beer garden. The scale.
Really? Are you pulling? Okay, you're
pulling.
You're good at that. You're good at that. Okay. That's pretty much the quest. Overall, I don't really have anything to complain about. I can't give this less than a 4, but I can't give it a 5 because it didn't do groundbreaking things. So there we go. 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm happy with a 4. I liked it.
Agreed.
I do have to shout out the writing as well. I really enjoyed the Princess's writing.
Yeah.
I always enjoy Princess as a character. Like, I like dogs, but even aside from that, I like Princess as a character.
Sure.
Lemon, what's your rating?
I didn't know I was gonna. I didn't know this was on the exam.
Oh yeah, it's a standard part of Quest Week.
I don't know, like
out of 5,
like a 3, and it's not because it's bad. It's just because it's fine. Like does exactly what it needs to do, and it doesn't really do anything special.
Yeah,
sure.
Like we have no official quest rubric. Like I'm not going to enforce people to do what I do. So
yeah, like I'm not gonna go out and tell anybody that they need to go and do Princess and the Pauper, but like it's a nice little quest.
Yeah,
it's a cute quest that does what it needed to do.
1 quest point, 1,000 construction XP, 1,000 cooking XP, but the biggest, of course, is the new friend, the new dog, and the Fort 4 and 3 household.
There's also a new master quest requirement.
Oh shit!
Yes.
Yep.
Well, you give him 6 bones and check out his dog house.
Okay. Is that how many it is? I just kept giving him bones. I gave him a whole inventory full of bones.
Oh, am I a good boy yet? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get a little loot from his doghouse. It's sometimes herbs, logs. Usually it's just some bones back. Sometimes it's coins.
I got 5 normal bones. I gave him like an inventory full of big bones, and I got 5 regular bones back.
They're never bigger than big bones. Yeah. There is also a secret item in there that I spent 1,000 bones getting.
Okay.
What?
I think it's just random, but so I was unlucky. But there is an item called the Silvery Feather, which I think is just going to be a trading sequence.
Another trading sequence item.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's in there. If you want to get it, there's nothing to do with it yet. So
is this the Mod Shrike trading sequence?
Yeah.
Looks like it.
They start again.
Of course. What better way to have a quest than
course.
to start a new trading sequence?
Absolutely.
I think her next update is the Haven Heights quest that comes out after Haven Heights comes out. So maybe something.
And did you find this yourself, Avernick, or were you?
No,
presented
someone
with
posted
it?
on Reddit.
Okay,
I wasn't
fair
there putting 1,000 bones into a doghouse. I think I did the quest early in the morning when it came out. I figured out that you put bones in there, you did the Master Quest Cape achievement. And I literally typed in Discord, I will leave someone more dedicated than I to figure out if there's something here. Lo and behold,
There is.
someone figured out something.
And I bet everybody's happy they got a clip of me saying, "Am I a good boy yet?"
Would somebody like to explain these trading sequences to me, because I've heard of them?
They're Easter eggs.
Yeah, it's usually there's been a couple of mods that have started them, and usually they fizzle
4 or
out.
5.
But they put a rare useless item in an update, and then the next update they work on, they add some way to have that item interact with it that gives you a different item, and then sequence.
Yeah.
I think the mod Deg one went on the loggers with like 8 entries, starting at the Mighty Fall and ending at like Telos. But
yeah,
Ramen
the mod
had
Deg
one that
one
went on
has
like 3 entries that didn't go
12
far.
items in it.
12, dear God. There's some fun stuff in there. So they started
there's
doing
one that actually has useful stuff in it. Like I think you can get a Gobi transmog out of one of them.
That would be one
that's
of the
where
Deg
that
ones,
comes from.
One of them can be a disco ball that you can deploy. One of them is the creepy doll one. Can you make players all turn to face you that are around you? Like it does little cosmetic
just
things.
little goofy things.
Huh.
It's an Easter egg is all it is.
Okay.
They kind of always fizzle out. I think Mod Ryan had the last one that was going during like Wars Retreat and Archaeology and stuff, but
it's kind of an odd thing to put in because I imagine like it's all bonus content, right? So it's stuff that devs I imagine are probably going a little bit rogue to put in, but then it creates this long tail of work. Like I remember when Garden of Corid came out. I don't remember
the
which
mod sponge one is sick.
Is that the sponge one?
That is the sponge.
Yes.
Well, but more than that, like when it came out, there were issues with it, and so there had to be patch notes to fix it because there were like some tiles were inaccessible, and there were issues with because one of the sequences it requires the stone shield from the Tsar, and so there were complaints that that combat peers couldn't do it. Yeah. So there were patch notes to try and change this little Easter egg thing. So I'm not surprised that they fizzle out because I imagine that production really hates them.
We're having issues with peers not being able to partake in Easter eggs.
Yeah.
I think the reward for that one, once you do the shield stuff, is a wand with a equip requirement too. So I don't know why they need it.
Lemon, keep that nugget in the back of your mind when we're talking about balancing later.
I'll keep that in the back of my mind when we talk about, this is old school, so it doesn't matter, but we talk about locking pures out of raids 4.
Oh my God.
This is what RS3 players will find to complain about.
I do think we've largely gotten past the PR argument. I'm surprised that one had any traction, but
I will say we're not talking about the combat beta today. However,
definitely not.
Strength pures don't have any abilities anymore. One attack,
that is really funny.
One attack peers can no longer use abilities.
Oh well. I mean, at the end of the day, this podcast has a storied history of going against peers, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
All right, so that's the quest. Overall, good quest. 4 out of 5. Definitely deserves that rating. Now even more that we know that trading sequence is there. Maybe I might even elevate it to a 5, but it's not that groundbreaking, so I'll leave it at a 4. So, another thing we got this week that was a surprise. February month ahead.
Woo!
They're back.
Yeah, big old blog post.
Week by week, like actual dates on things. I don't think we even got date by date when we used to get the videos. I think it was kind of
I have mixed feelings about this.
It'll be fine.
Yeah,
it'll be fine.
These things were going to happen no matter what. Now you just have a little warning,
right?
Yeah, now you can plan.
But the thing is, like, how long can they keep this up?
They always fizzle. That's
they're going to fizzle out.
I don't want to be the realist,
and they're going to run into the real scheduling matters at some point.
Oh yeah,
and that's my
biggest
worry about this, is that these month aheads can set expectations that are not easy to change. That's my biggest worry. If they hit every benchmark that they have for this, fine, good. But if they don't, well, then we're back to, tracking what goes on an unfinished business list. So that's why I have mixed feelings about this primarily here. But on the other hand,
the nice thing about being a month ahead is, because ultimately this always comes down to how effectively they've planned out their release pipeline. And the nice thing about being a month ahead is you don't really need to plan it that far in advance.
Right.
And I don't know exactly what their release schedule is. I don't know how late they can still cut an update, but 4 weeks is not that bad for if we're talking about major features. If we're going down to the level of individual patch notes, sure, that's ridiculous. But major features, you should
have an idea.
4 weeks I think is reasonable. Yeah. And blog posts which need to be composed and translated and all that.
I was gonna say, honestly, I think they have a worse track record with staying on top of blog post dates than they do update dates.
Yeah.
So, well, we're about to see
that might be the harder thing to stick to here.
Yeah. Because I think what they do, they start the release candidate building in the early part of the week. So the release candidate building for this quest would have started early on last week, and then their RC testing would have been half of Wednesday and then Thursday, Friday last week, with the go on Monday for it. So then you can backtrack.
Yeah, I know final go no-go is fairly late, but they would have had this planned probably months ago. They would have planned. Ideally they would have had this in their release calendar. They would have had their release calendar figured out.
Yeah,
some time ago. And things can change. That mean you need to switch that. But theoretically, at least, they have an idea, and they can shift things. And they say this in the blog post. They can shift things if they need to, and they're not saying they're not going to do that. But it becomes a question of, well, how much do they shift? And there's a point at which they shift so much that people start losing faith in.
There's always the community sentiment, the community faith argument. Yeah, there's give and take. The question is, how much are they allowed to that we give them the rope to?
And the other
until
big
they
thing
hang themselves.
That's what I was going to say. It's how long do they have? And, I was talking with Sirion on this, and we give it about 6 months until things start to slip, probably, on this. So we'll see what happens on that. The other big thing that is in tandem with this is new lead community manager for RS3 mod Anvil coming over from Square Enix. And, best of luck to him. Has a character with total level around 2380, and there's lots of posts coming out, which I bet that he had a hand in determining in the volume that we're getting here, and it's a perfect time to be communicating with the players, I think. So best of luck, and I hope and I hope he's going to have a strong, powerful, good tenure.
He's definitely been very active from what little I've seen, so
yeah.
This is very much in the nature of you can't please everybody, right? But I personally really like that we're getting a lot of really clear communication about when to expect more information about these things.
Yeah.
Of course, you have the inevitable comments of this is an announcement of an announcement.
Yeah.
But okay, here's when we should expect more information. That's better than people asking every third day, when are we going to hear about whatever item? So,
I mean, we were talking about this in pre-show, but there's a real problem with any kind of communication on this scale where you want your customers to know about the things you're doing. The problem is you have to contend with the fact that most of your customers, by all observable evidence, can't read. Or certainly choose not to.
Let me put that in a nicer way, Sir Jones. They don't read the news posts. And that's why the Jagexs launcher became a thing.
I'm gonna agree with your Jones here. I read the news posts, and sometimes I miss. Usually, most weeks I miss something.
I'm being salty because I deal with this problem at work a lot, and my customers should know better and clearly don't. But there is a problem with getting a message out to people at scale. And so like the announcement of the announcement, the redemptive reading is the more you put out, the more opportunities you have to inform people, the more likely you are that that's going to get picked up. And yeah, it's going to piss off the really obsessives like us, because we're watching everything that comes out. We're looking at everything that comes out.
Like, oh, no new
so it's going to be
information.
really annoying. But if you're just a casual player, then the more that gets put out, the more likely you are to see something, and the more likely you are to be informed.
What is it they say in the UK? See something, hear
See
something,
something, say something.
Yeah.
Like subway safety?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like US post 9/11 stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. They still do that in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me.
But in addition to this, game design vision, we're going there in just a moment. Early game rebalance and dailyscape posts, that's coming this week alongside an aura overhaul.
Okay.
Topics about regrounding items, the early game balancing update on the week of the 16th, the combat beta takeaways, and then the launch, supposedly, of the combat beta on the 23rd.
Comparing this to the year roadmap we got, this is a lot of stuff that they had marked for spring, like that we're already getting. So, I mean, I guess a lot of it was well in the pipeline because.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but it's spring where I am right now.
Lucky you.
No.
I'm freezing my giblets off.
Yeah, it's going to be 0 to like 4 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh,
there's like 8 feet of snow outside. No.
Yeah.
God. But yeah, the fact that
I see your point. It is a bit ahead, and then because keep in mind February is a short month too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're getting the balance update and the regarding update items update. That's 2 of them that were marked for spring.
Yeah. So they have an idea about what they want to do on that, and it's already lined
We're
up.
getting told tomorrow. Yes.
So, but yeah, fingers crossed on that. That's all I got to say. But I'm going to thank some Patreon supporters right now, because without them, this podcast would not be where it is. And, the Patreon members are very inspiring because, I go back to the monthly bit that we just did on remastering content that came from you guys, as did the idea to do the long form Informer post, which turned into a video. So big, huge thank you this week, in particular to Alaska, Alvaro L., Amos Reed, Arvidzel, Bambino, Bladecom, Brandon F., Chilbura, Dominic R., Duramax, Guy Lafleur, Imperialis, Jade Gizmo, Jason S., Jesse W., Julia W., Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Matt Mann, Mighty Myth, Michelle M., Mike Wings, Mongrath, Parnassius, Ricky A., Robbie D., Rob Sobs, Samuel F.L., Scott D.S., Shirt Pants, Sio Aces, Smavid, Snail Mage, Tabby, The Naked Captain, The Dabbing Goat, Tim, Ukulele Steve, Woody, Zant, and Zazakon. Thank you so much, everybody, for allowing us to do what we do here. As I mentioned, the most recent monthly bid is up. You can find that over at patreon.com/RSBNB. There you can hear us talk about remastered content, and in particular, 4 pieces of content, including Herbie Werby, Sheep Herder, the Brimhaven Agility Arena, and Priff and the Max Guild, interestingly enough. So if you want to hear exactly where we went into some of them are obvious, some of them aren't. Patreon.com/RSBNB. You can sign up and get access to that entire library of monthly bits, 90 plus of them now, for as little as $1 a month. And in doing so, in addition to the monthly bit library, you'll be helping to fund the cost for hosting and production of RSBANDB Update. And that's just a big, simple thank you. Thank you for helping us do what we do. We then have our VIP community tier, where for $3 a month, you'll be getting access to our community features in Discord, which include a chat channel, a rank, and also with that high-quality stereo versions of the podcast. You also take part in our community days. We'll, from time to time, ask you about monthly bit ideas, and of course our producer behind the scenes features, which we should have another one of those rolling out soon. TM. Then we also do have the Insider $5 a month tier, where you get a weekly shout out on the show and access to our expanded clip archive, including clips from pre-show and post-show, and the clips that'll make its way to the clip show at the end of the year. So with that, big huge thank you everybody, and if you're at all wondering what it's about, just head over to patreon.com/RSBNB or ask any of the other existing Patreon members what their favorite bit about the subscription is, and they'll tell you why you should support the show if it's something that you get value from, or if you just want a little bit extra content. Patreon.com/RSBNB. Thanks so much, everyone. Okay. Design Vision. We need to have a talk here about this, because they put out this huge post this week. The first bit of the road to restoration, specifically what they want to achieve. And for me, I feel like I pretty much knew most of the broad strokes that were in here. Did the rest of you feel the same on this? I don't think there are any surprises for me.
No surprises, yeah.
One surprise, and we'll get to that later.
Okay. How'd you feel, Zerdones?
Yeah, I mean, I had no surprises. My only surprise was that, and maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of us. My only surprise was how empty this post was.
Explain that.
I don't really know what I was expecting, but like, it is a big blog post. I plugged it into my notes app, and it's like 3,000 words. And I went through and I pulled out what I thought were like
the key points,
useful, salient points, and I pulled out 150 words. Everything else was either like stuff that wasn't just boiled, like,
because there was a big introduction unfair to both Ryan and Breezy in there.
There's big introductions in there, and that's part of it. So like counting that is a little unfair. But aside from that, all of the stuff that's written down is either so vague as to be useless, or we want to be good, which is not like, yeah, that's a direction, sure. Like, I would also like us to be good, but like, what does that mean?
Why do you put it that way, sir?
Well, I think I think what you're getting at is that this is effectively them telegraphing what the broader plan for the year is. And a lot of that involves, and I wonder how much a post like this is, like, obviously Mod Ryan and Mod Breezy write it for the first draft, but I'm wondering how much of it then goes through like marketing and communications to become more persuasive and add that fluff that you're talking about, Zerdones.
Yeah,
because
I mean,
I think that's needed for a significant portion of the player base to get buy-in to the things they want to do based on, you know, what we know are going to be radical updates.
Yeah, I mean, persuasive communication is a skill, and it's a difficult skill, and it's something that is very important for stuff like this. So it's a good question that we have no way of answering.
I'm willing to bet, thinking about it now, that it probably did go through that that branch, the marketing communications, who have been doing really good with their things, because I think the idea of having the introduction to both Mod Ryan and Mod Breezy and them talking about their experiences in the game, I think having that in here definitely helps things in terms of creating that connection with the player.
Right. The whole point of stuff like that is to establish your bona fides. It's, I am a capital R, capital P real player.
And if you can demonstrate that it's going to affect you as well as them, that's a step along the way.
We also have to remember with this is all four of us, right? We know very well who Ryan and Breezy are, right?
Yeah.
But this is a lot of the communications we're going to be seeing over the next year, longer potentially, is going to be focused on like new players or returning players.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
it's fair.
if you've been checked out of RS3 for the past 5-10 years,
12,
you know who the hell Breezy is, you know?
yeah.
Why would you?
Yeah.
It's like the process I had to go to onboard to OS to do the OS show, to know, you know, who the community managers were, who the main devs were, and who was making the decisions over there, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that plays a large role in it, and then by establishing that plank, you can then get into the meat and potatoes of the post, which we're going to do right now. So, beginning, the design goals for RS include a game that's easy to understand but still full of meaningful choice and depth, grounded with a clear identity that is unmistakably RuneScape, and this is a big one. Play because it's fun, not because you feel like you have to, and a meaningful journey no matter where you start. So, in general, if we're talking about designing RuneScape, and we fast forward 3 years, they want to effectively hone in on these things and make changes around the edges of what the game doesn't satisfy in those categories right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this a lot on the integrity episode. I think all 4 of these are very good, and I think the third one in particular speaks to the need to get rid of things like, you know, dailyscape and whatnot. So that's a
I think the second
positive.
and third one are a little more targeted at our specific problems, whereas the first and fourth one are more along the lines of, like Sir said, make game good. I'd be surprised if a game didn't strive to be easy to understand but fun to keep playing later because it's deep, or a meaningful journey or to keep you engaged.
And that one's also
yes,
important because it's like, how do you give this game to somebody who has not played it before and have them be successful? How do you give this game to an OS player and have them be successful?
There's a lot of knowledge that we know, but
exactly.
There's an onboarding
process. It's implied for us, and it's like what I was saying in terms of how the early and mid game for me, it doesn't matter if it's got some holes around the edges because I know exactly what my early and mid game path is going to be from fresh start, from the game, and now from leagues. It's quite clear what the first 30 hours of a new account looks like. So.
Mm-hmm.
Then they go into examples of content or game systems that they'll have dedicated blogs for on most of them. This includes focusing things on skilling methods that are outdated or have been overshadowed by singular methods. I see you, divination caches. I see you in there. Drop tables and drop rates that feel inconsistent. And dailyscape and D&Ds, they say compound these by creating chores or allowing players to bypass much of the game without interacting with core content.
Again, I see you, divination.
Flash events. Ugh. And to be fair, these problems, I didn't know they existed until leagues.
No?
And no.
You can't Reddit more.
No.
That is a sentence no one has ever said in seriousness.
Rather go to Maltbook.
I understand what you mean by that, Shane. Right?
Yeah.
It's very easy to be in the routine of having done some of these things when they've been relevant. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Most people are not worried about doing caches past 95, 90, maybe even 80 divination, right?
Yeah.
So you may not have, like, a lot of people may not have done a cache in like a couple of years.
Yep.
But then leagues comes around and it's like, okay, oh god, I need to do a cache every hour. I need to make sure I do 2 of these a day, and also I've got to be doing my the wilderness flash event, the tree and the star when they come up, and then I also need to be doing
another one
other things
that really it was eye opening to me, and you'll know this one is the Jot for Ironman Herpler below 90 Jack of Trades.
Yep.
So, state of the game focuses on content and feature bloat.
That's the side of the
one.
integrity updates that I feel like that's the take things away side, which
yeah,
Yeah, I've talked about this in Discord and some other places. I have been talking with Marstead. He's a general, like a variety streamer, I guess you could call him. That seems like a little bit of a derogatory term, but anyway, he did a playthrough of RS3, and he's been working on a large video essay. So I've been
that's the one you're waiting
feedback
for
on that. Yeah. And one of the things that he really noticed in coming to this game fresh, he's played old school, but never played RS3, and only played old school starting in like 2018 or 2019, was that there's so much stuff that there's no reason, not that there's no reason to interact with, but it would be detrimental to your experience of the game to interact with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think you could excise like 1/3 to a half of everything that is in the game, and it would be a net positive for the game.
I doubt we'd ever go this far, but immediately springing to my mind is like the hunter skill guide. There is so much crap in there that you never touch. There's so many methods you'll never touch. You could do with an unlock every 3 levels and be fine.
Well, it's like I say,
3 unlocks every level.
It's like I say. Are you bringing out the nail clippers, the scissors, or the chainsaw?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of what you're trying to do.
And there's a lot of these, like, yeah, I know, like, and there's farming. There's player-owned farm next to regular farming. That's double the content maybe you need.
And one of those has been, unfortunately, rendered not as useful as the other one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but what are you going to do? Nerf player-owned farm? How's that going to go?
Exactly.
Again, yeah.
Delete player-owned farm?
I mean,
last time they nerfed it,
don't tempt me with a good time. I can I tangent on player-owned farms for a second?
Yeah,
do it.
One of the things, like, there's been so much talk about DailyScape, about since these conversations started last year, and farming comes up in these conversations, right? Because it is a skill that is to a certain degree built around a daily system, right?
Yeah, it's built around a timer.
Built around a timer. On the long end, right? You've got your fruit trees, which are 16 hours, and then you've got, I don't remember what magic trees are, but 8 hours, I think. It's a type of thing that you do once a day, right?
But the skill was built around farming, that way.
It was built around that. It was designed that, and that's fine. But one of the things about it is that if you don't check your fruit trees for a week, it's fine, right? You just didn't gain any farming XP for a while, and that's totally fine.
But if you don't
show up to your player-owned farm after having not visited it for a week, you're just going to be really depressed. It's like, okay, so now I need to spend 5 minutes going around curing all of these animals. I can check them if I want reduced experience, or I could just wait again for another day until they all heal up. It's just like,
whenever
it manages to deprecate the existing farming system, because very few people deal with traditional farming anymore outside of herbs.
Me.
And it also manages to take the bad things about farming and make them worse.
Yeah. Like, whenever I want to experience traditional farming, I'll go on old school for that, just because it's not efficient to do it on RS.
Hey, there was a week last year when we were all planting star blooms.
Yeah.
You got your moment in the sun.
I know. It's a very apt example. And their next point was an array of redundant or outdated content.
80% of all skill guides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that we want to become Tierscape, absolutely, but
yeah. No.
But 2 things every level isn't excessive.
Yeah.
Hunter has always had this issue, right? Like, Hunter has always had methods that are just terrible, like the deadfalls, right? It's like, why can you only set 1 deadfall?
Yeah.
Like, that's never made any sense. but like Hunter has managed to it has this cycle. We Shane, you and I were talking a few weeks ago when you were doing the integrity update with like back in, was it 2018, 2019 with the Anachronia update, right?
Yep.
They crunched down all of the experience rates for Hunter because it had just gotten out of control. And like now we're doing was like with are they going to do that again with Giant Game Hunter for Anachronia?
And now you see why it's so
know.
important that there be an understanding of what's going on here, and this be able to be sold to the community.
Yeah, Hunter just like has issues. It's like how is it always Hunter that has these XP creeps and has so many things and all of them always being so useless?
Well, you know what Mod Mark's
until they break the
that's
game.
Why.
You know what Mod Mark's most controversial thing he ever said was?
Oh no, what?
He wanted to delete the Hunter skill.
Why the Hunter skill?
He didn't like about the whole trapping aspect of it and treatment of animals, and then also game system wise on top of it.
It's just not a
so
it's not a great skill. I mean, like
it's a very useful skill, but it's a really annoying skill.
Yeah.
Like the best way to train it prior to
Hunter that I like, but
the best way to train it prior to the Hetz Oasis was just the Protean traps to 27.
Oh, Hetz Oasis, dear God, that's another one.
Oh my God!
Yeah, don't get me started on that. And
every time we made a skilling update as a bandage to some skill gap or hole or inadequacy, that's on the chopping block right now.
And what you have is you have a decade plus of game content designed to make people log in.
Yep.
And the latter half of it on mobile. So,
I mean, I think like fundamentally that's sort of the core problem that I don't think you can get away from is there's two reasons why all of this exists. Like, okay, so content's outdated. You can fix that. In terms of content bloat, like that exists for two reasons. One reason is because we're trying to fix problems like the fact that Hunter sucks. So we're going to put in a new Hunter method. And then, that method also kind of sucks. We're going to do new, and we're just keep doing that. The other problem is, you need content in order to keep people logging in week after week. This is especially true for old MMOs with deep engaged players who tend to accumulate around the end game. Unless
you are old school and your adventures and accomplishments take forever.
Okay, but then you've just kicked the can down the road for another year or two.
They're slow enough. They'll take 5. No.
Even then, like I know people who have gone to old school and they have blitzed through old school, they're now not playing it anymore.
It's not
so old school is not immune to this problem.
It's not as big of an issue over there, but
it's
I get it.
But they will hit that problem, and RS3 will hit that problem too. Like it would be very easy to take a blowtorch to all of this old crap that's in the game, and that'll solve some problems for now. But how do you solve the problem of the fact that you have a player base that needs new content, or they're just going to stop paying you?
Yeah.
Like one option is you just keep extending the end game, but is that what we want to do? Because that seems like we don't like that. Seems like people don't like that solution.
I'm trying to find an example right now, but you guys keep talking.
No, okay.
One of the things that I have been thinking about recently with regards to like expanding level caps, right? And you're dealing with it's something on the order of like 8 times the experience from 99 to 120. Something like that.
It's ridiculous.
Exactly that. And then like you remember that like it's granted it's only for a couple of skills, but then you remember about like extreme hunter potions exist and they give a plus 17 boost. So like you can unless they put some sort of cap on that, it's like right away when 110 hunter drops, even if you're 99, you'll be able to boost and do whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's not great.
No.
Right? There's a fundamental issue there.
But you can't fix that. You can't fix that.
No.
I think we were getting closer with the level cap increase updates. It wasn't adding on top of the 1 to 99 bloat area, but yeah, there were still some.
Do you
kinks to
remember
work
the
out.
number one complaint about all the 110 updates before thieving?
No content.
That they
feel
were
like
all just
content.
mining and smithing, but worse.
That too.
That was my complaint.
And see, that's the thing. It why I said this roadmap, this road to restoration, needs to be courageous and able to be delivered, to know exactly what's the plans are to fix this. Like right now, we're splitting hairs about, feature bloat content and redundant and outdated content. Fine, but the reality is, we are going at this from a very high level system point of view.
Yeah.
The person who logs in a few times a week that's seeing content be made slower or things being drastically reworked that might have been a benefit to them is going to see this as a backslide, negative content, and making them suffer.
Yeah, this is at conflict with another part of their strategy of being community driven. Like, as soon as all these things you're stating you're going to do don't align with what the community's cheering on,
what then?
Which
Exactly.
goal wins out? The community driven one, or the everything you say you were going to do in this blog, which was cheered on in theory until you gave any details.
Yeah.
And this is a thing I've been saying a lot, is their strategy is inherently risky because it is going to piss off some players, and it is going to make some players want to leave the game. There are basically two questions that we don't know the answer to, and that Jagexs is banking on the fact they have a good answer to. Question number one is how many people are actually going to leave? And question number two is, are you going to be able to attract enough people to not just make up for that, but exceed and get back to, maybe not as far back as like the golden age, or for whatever you consider the golden age as, but get back to a level where we're consistently growing in revenue.
I would be okay if the game
enough.
consistently hovered at around 50k players, up from 25 to 30 at the high end.
But is CVC okay with that?
And that's another dimension to the problem,
right?
And that gets back to the core ideal of removing Treasure Hunter in the first place.
Like, I do want to stress, it's not an inherently bad idea to alienate your existing customers if you're not making money with your not to take things out of RuneScape too much, but something that I used to like, my wife and I used to watch those like restaurant rescue shows, like Gordon Ramsay's has one, Robert Irvine has one, and something that like they go into these failing businesses, and something that the businesses always say is, "Oh, we can't do this. Our customers really like this." Well, okay, great, but you're losing money with your customers.
Customers only buy Happy Hour Bud Lights. That's it.
Right, exactly. You at a certain point, you need to be willing to cut your existing customers. The risk is you need to be able to make that money back somehow. Which, yeah, okay, you can do that. There's a lot of ways you can do that. Entertainment is hard. It's not impossible, but it's hard.
And I'm sure everything that happens, like, it'll feel bad longer than the update day. Like, it'll take a while to swing back. And a chunk of this is just opening up the ability to add new content.
And that's the big thing throughout this that we'll get to. We haven't even got to their examples yet. Avernick, you said you were looking for an example. Did you find it?
That was a while ago. I was looking at like Old School's roadmap. They are this year releasing 2 quests which each reward a mid-level woodcutting method. So they're already like stacking on top of each other. Between their Red Reef and their Blood Moon Rises, they're adding 2 new trees in the same band. So it's not forever. They're not mean forever.
Yeah.
They just have enough hole. They still have. They're doing what RS did in like those early 2010s, where they still had holes and skills they were making updates to fill.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. RS3 has like a 10-year lead on.
We filled the
in
holes
this regard.
That well's run dry.
Yeah.
They also say gaps in content relating to things such as skilling and combat progression, which I feel we already addressed with the skilling side in particular on this. Time limited content.
Combat, I think maybe
Yeah,
Nope.
I was going to mention combat in the second part of it when we get down to their directions here.
Sure.
In particular, but combat progression definitely. Because you got two different combat systems between Necromancy and the legacy styles. So
yeah.
Then again, we go back to time-limited content, which is so rewarding. You feel pressured to engage with it. Dailies, D&Ds, events, and auras. And, you know, credit to them for saying this. Much of the game is specifically played through time-limited or time-pressured content. People have been complaining about this for years. If they can do one thing in this entire road to restoration thing successfully and have the players be happy about it, please have it be this one.
I'm gonna go back to what Sir Jones was saying. It's like, of things that are likely to piss off a large portion of the existing player base, like this is the thing that I think is going to do that. Specifically, daily challenges. Like overall reduction in dailyscape, people are on board with.
History
daily
has
challenges,
shown if daily challenges get messed with, people will freak.
These are
the
all
thing
of their
from
skips.
which you can get like 84 million XP a year for doing like fuck all. Like
these are the most powerful things. These are things that people used to skip content they didn't want to do.
This is how you train your dungeoneering. This is how you train your herb lore. This is how you train your agility.
Yeah. You log in daily because they're appealing, and they're appealing. You're losing the thing that's appealing.
Yeah.
And like you say, I hope they do this one, but my God, there's so many mines in this one that is not fun to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one issue that sprung to mind as you were talking. Yeah, I'm sure this will come up in the blog tomorrow. Like, this is, I guess, more related to auras and things like that. Is I understand why people don't like auras. Personally, I mean, I don't use auras, and I almost never have. But I understand why people don't like them. But at the same time, like, there is a benefit to having content be time-bound. And that benefit is effectively, it's a cap on the economy and economic growth. It's because like the core problem with the economy, that like the thing Mod Jack always talked about when he was doing his economy live streams, is the fact that players can just go and do 10K Zamorak or whatever they're doing to make money now. Lemon, you will probably know better than I would, but they can go and do that 10 million times a day, and they can bring in massive amounts of money and resources into the game.
Yeah.
How do you that's a really hard problem to solve without doing something that people are not going to like.
Like a raid
you can do a rate lock. You can do raids, which people don't like.
They're
keep talking
talking about getting rid
lock.
of the lockout on that.
Right, because people don't like it. You can make drop tables useless. You can pull a Raksha. People don't like that. People want all of their kills to be valuable,
meaningful. They want to be Yeah. If raid lockout goes, the drop rates in those things go way down.
Or the economy is going to go to shit again.
Or they're worthless.
I mean, part of the issue with raids, right, is that like substantially all of the drops that people actually want from it are all untradeable.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
You know, it's like, again, we're not talking about the combat beta, but like I'm kind of surprised that they didn't remove the corruption shot and corruption blast. But I was looking at range earlier. I'm like, why is this here? Anyway.
Because raids needs something to keep it relevant. That's why. It's the only reason.
Yeah. I mean, like,
I
speaking
need more,
of content that's below, is raids on the chopping block?
I mean, it might just like, it's such an obtuse piece of content to get into. You really gotta, want to, master those bosses. They need to do something.
It's not really made much cultural impact on the game.
If we're talking about like, I don't think we've gotten to this yet, but if we talk about like the tone of the world, like Mazcab is you can have a lot of arguments about what exactly grounded medieval fantasy means, but Mazcab is way
outside of every circle that you could draw around.
There's no definition that includes Mazcab.
No.
Oh my God.
Mazcab doesn't feel like RuneScape to me. Like I wasn't playing at the time when Mazcab released, so like coming back and finding it was very alien, and it like
I need more information as we go. I am souring on this by the minute. I'm going to move on.
We're here to depress you.
It's literally my job.
They also talk about an imbalance in the level and type of input and output and scaling methods and other content, which you read between the lines on this one, and this is, this is XP rates and GP rates.
It's not make active better, because then we get a hunter situation. It's
because they say there is a real mismatch in our balancing between level of activity required, XP output, and GP input output, and we have leaned a little too much into second screen gameplay, where AFK content dominates. Oops.
In response to this comment, can I just say, what were you thinking with the thieving update?
The pickpocketing site specific.
Yeah. I mean, pickpocketing, they were kind of worked into a corner with that, because pickpocketing has always been that.
They worked themselves into a corner, but like also, I don't know, wouldn't that have been the time to work yourself out of the corner?
They should have rebalanced pickpocketing with that 120 thieving update. Yes.
They should have rebalanced pickpocketing when they made Sticky Fingers, B, when they reworked Sticky Fingers, and then C, when they released 120 thieving. But anyway,
because I can just go to the mages in the wizard's tower on my phone, and every 5 minutes press the crystal mask button, and it's 1 point whatever, 1.4, 1.5 mil an hour,
and that is my preferred way to play the game a lot of the time. But I'll stay there forever. I don't have to get 120 at the same rate as people doing heists. So
yeah, I mean,
I think this one will be a little less. I think it'll have a lot of backlash initially, but I think that it'll go away pretty quickly when people realize that they didn't care about the rates too much. They were just going to sit there and do it anyway.
Yeah, I will say on the thieving front, I have been most of my attention has been on the GIM since GIM released, but with the thieving update, I was going to say I've been actively playing on my Iron again. Like, I haven't actively been playing on my Iron because I've just been sitting 15-minute AFK at Menafight market guards. But, I've stacked up over 5,000 hard clues and over 5,000 elite clues.
My God.
And
are you going to do them?
I am. I have
on purpose, even.
I have 1,200 elite clues left right now.
I hope to take the
check
clue
back in 2 months when I'm done.
We're going to need to stage an intervention.
I think flashback to leaks.
It's like when you have something that is as AFK as that is, the cost of doing it is basically zero, right? The amount of effort that it takes me to have on a third monitor, a little interface with thieving set up, and to get the amount of resources that I've gotten out of that, it's insane. It's insane.
Oh yeah, let it be heard. Every item on those drop tables is going to shit.
Yeah, of course,
one by one.
Steam runes are under 100 GP.
Every gem will cost nothing, and yeah.
I've gotten enough. I've gotten more than enough vital sparks to make a limitless sigil, or the ability, whatever the item is called now.
Yeah, limitless was too expensive, but I don't know that this is the way to go about it, right?
I don't know if this is the right direction for thieving, where it just gets things from other content easier and better and too much, but it's the direction we've gone.
Yeah,
and I've always said that's kind of thieving strength. It's the all seeing, all singing, all dancing economy balancer.
Yeah,
the issue is
it is the opposite of invention.
So easy that there's a no cost to doing it.
It is the opposite of invention.
Yeah, exactly. It's the tap.
we need to counter this better version of pickpocketing, putting things back in people's pockets. That could be a little more expensive.
Tax cuts?
Yeah.
Tax cuts?
Yeah, if I return all the gems, I get double thieving experience.
Well, isn't this is communism? We're describing communism. Communism, the skill.
Maybe there's something to it.
But to the point of that, the post also says the game is full of overpowered content or rewards that, simply put, don't quite give you the same sense of accomplishment and reward they once used to.
I see that. I read. Oh, yeah, we've had a little too much power creep.
And it's too easy to get max. And
is this one saying things like drops are like Abbey Whip and things like that have lost their...
Yeah, and there's...
I don't know that we're necessarily talking about a whip.
Not like a whip, but it's like the same
but
sort
there's
of
other
thing.
things that... Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that's... I mean, I know it was intentional, right? But just because it was intentional at the time doesn't mean it wasn't a mistake in hindsight, is I think about the... Roar of Annihilation, Ode to Deceit from Sanctum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, notably very easy to get tier 95s.
Fairly common, yeah.
Which was a response
I
to
do think
people
course correction
wanting
from Elder God
bad
Wars
luck
Dungeon, which
mitigation.
was kind of,
Yeah, you know, it was intentional. Maybe they overshot it, right? And maybe they ought to bring that back. I don't really have a dog in that fight.
I know that people like the big drop ticket things from, and we've tried a lot of drop sources systems in the past. I do think that something closer to, not that they're good, the Kopeshes, where you build up slowly over a bunch of kills, where it's a lot easier. You get a lot of the drop, but it's slow over a much more set. Might be healthier.
Shards, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, the issue with the Kopeshes really was the keys rather than the drop mechanic
But
itself.
I also, in addition to drops, I see this as being a case in that, you know, what is like an accomplishment in RS right now that is on par with rune crafting right after the skill capes came out, so untrimmed rune crafting in 2009. Like, what would are there any accomplishments at that tier right
a rune crafting skill kit?
You'd have to, I mean, you're looking at stuff like Golden Reaper or like Golden Clue collection logs at that point. I think like those are the things that are comparable.
I mostly agree. I don't love that we've gotten to their only accomplishments at this point if they're tied to RNG
and
like logs.
And see, the problem with those is that they are incredibly niche, RNG based, like you mentioned, Avernick, and also they're part of that completionist treadmill. They're not piecemeal sized achievements anybody can go for.
Mm-hmm.
So they're unless you are a very specific kind of person, they're almost the antithesis of fun.
Precisely.
Right.
Like if you're talking about we want people to play the game because it's fun, not because they have to.
You don't do that.
The opposite of that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Honestly, Shane, I think the answer to your question is 200 mil all. I think 200 mil might not be enough. Quite the level. Maybe all.
And see, even again, I don't think that that's a healthy thing to be be pushing for the game. So
crafting wasn't healthy.
People should not have 200 mil all. I'm going to say this as somebody with 200 mil all. The game gets a lot less fun once you have 200 mil all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
And, yeah.
I mean, the problem that I always come back to on this, and some of this is rooted in just who I am as a person, because like you guys are all talking about like having to do these things. I have to use auras, I have to use Jot, I have to do my dailies, I have to do my farm runs, I have to log in, do clear and from all that. This is me personally. I don't do that because I don't care.
Sure. Yeah.
I want to do the things that are interesting to me. And so I will do high ticket, high rewarding stuff to skip content I don't want to do, but I'm not going to go out of my way to do stuff that I don't want to do. And so I always find it weird to have these conversations because I don't know how you solve this problem when this is a problem that has been self-created by the community.
Kind of.
It's a sect of people with the personality.
I want to specifically hone in on the Jacket Trades Aura and Ironman Herblore, because Lemon, you and I were talking about this a couple weeks back about, like if you saturate the market with herbs and secondaries to a point that Herblore under 90 for irons becomes more feasible to do, then that ruins the experience for everybody else because it's inherently market-based skill. So the thing is that for Iron Zerdones under level 90, Jack of Trades is objectively the best herblore trading method out there.
Okay. So?
Jack of Trades, daily challenges, and quest rewards.
Shane, I understand what you're saying, but that's kind of my point. Like, yes, it's the best method. Why are you doing the best method?
Part of the issue, right, is
because we'd still be in the 60s or 70s otherwise.
It's not just that it's the best method. It's that, like, it is at least one order of magnitude better than the alternative, and possibly like 2 orders of magnitude.
I think, pulling back a little bit, I think the big issue, the reason it's an issue is that Herblore is so built around being in an economy, and then you have Iron Man.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a whole side conversation to have about Iron Man.
That is true, but also, like, the Garden of Carid update was, like, really, really terrible. I mean, again, it was a market-focused update, but it was really terrible. It was trying to make
Herblore more economy, even more economy focused.
Yeah, and it made it so that you removed a lot of the herb sources and you replaced it with a lesser amount of seeds. Right, like if you farmed the seeds, you were getting a lesser amount of herbs than you would have had otherwise. And there's not, I mean, I think, Shane, because you engaged more with the traditional process of training, farming, and herblore on your GIM than I did on mine.
Yeah.
It's not something that has been considered very well at all.
No, and to get back to Zerdone said, why? It comes down to the fact that, if you're a solo Iron, then you gotta, just put your nose to the grindstone and farm those herbs. But thankfully on the group, we can, rely on the other group members to provide herbs and whatnot to help along the way. But it's still not an efficient training method. And the point is that something like an aura be so powerful as a training method that is inherently time limited. And my question then, with this in terms of, activity level required and needing to log in and do these things, if you remove Jack of Trades, looking at Herblore on its own in particular, is there a world where a replacement is provided, or do we just say SOL to the Irons?
I think that there's room to provide a replacement. I think that what Irons are looking for are low to no resource input way to train Herblore at a reasonable rate.
Well, there has to be some. I don't want a zero input Herblore training
probably
method. I just want to be clear on that.
No, but you want at least a reasonable amount. But that just means that whatever the item or effect output of that method is, has to probably be very low to then compensate for its good XP.
I think Mastering Mixology on OS is a good example. Came out with Varlamore Batch 2. Lemon Zerdones, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
I am not familiar.
Vaguely.
Okay.
I know
know about it in theory, but
it's basically a Herblore training method that doesn't require secondaries and only herbs.
Right, and you don't get potions as an output. You get reward currency, which you can use to purchase yada yada yada. But I know I am not. There are many people in the Iron community who would disagree with what I'm about to say here. I think it is perfectly fine that Herblore is a difficult skill to train.
Absolutely.
I think that is good. Herblore is a very powerful skill, and it should be difficult to train, and it has not been. I also think that this issue is exacerbated because of how quickly experienced players are able to power level a new account.
Especially mains.
It gives you like a disproportionate Necromancy, we haven't gotten to the combat stuff, but like, and I don't mean the combat beta. I mean just like the other combat.
Imagine if you're talking about combat beta today. Oh my god.
Like Necromancy has made it so that it is extremely easy and quick to get to end game combat, which means that you have this high pressure to get to end game Herblore very quickly. And
why?
I never thought of that. That's a good point.
Why is
so sorry. Let me,
because if you're
before you answer, let me
doing all the best things.
Zerdone's
not
that
worthwhile.
why is a very important point.
Well, but before you answer, let me pull back.
I'm not answering. This is for
my question a little bit. I know. Like, okay, it's very easy. So if you're in the thing that jumped out at me about what you said is it's very easy for a new experienced player to power level a major account.
correct?
That's not, I don't see that as a problem for that player, because if you're leveling a new account, you want to get to whatever goal you want to get to. So if that then means it has to be a problem for a new player. Why is that? Why is it a problem for a new player that I can power level a new account very rapidly?
The issue here, I think, is what the community, the established community is going to try and pull the design in this direction further than it probably ought to be.
Exactly.
Right? A lot of current irons are content is maybe not the right word, but are very happy to abuse things like daily challenges, all the stuff that we're talking about, in order to completely ignore the design space of Herblore that is intended to be difficult. I think it's probably fair to say that Herblore is intended to be one of the more difficult skills to train, given the nature of it's tied through farming, but farming is tied through thieving. It's also tied through combat, and then you've got the secondary market over here.
Yeah, each potion is a pittance of XP. You need to make so many of them. They need so many. It's compounding resources,
right? Yeah. And there's not like a training, other artisan skills like smithing. It's like there's a very direct way where you could just train smithing by training mining. There's a very direct way to just train crafting, again, by mining. Fletching, wood cutting, you get the point, right? Whereas branches for Herblore is difficult because it's a lot harder to get the blood from the stone.
Yeah, it ties into more things, sure.
Ties into more things, and the ratio between the input and the output of like the primary skill into the secondary skill is a lot lower. That has been lost for, I'm like, again, I keep saying like experienced players playing through on a new account, but
so basically what you're saying, to a
certain degree, it feels like a relatively informed player, right? You might struggle through the first 50 levels of Herblore, but then like at some point somebody's going to tell you like, oh, you should be doing Herby Werby. Oh, there's this aura. Oh, daily challenges. Oh, yada yada. At a certain point,
if I was to just
strategies get down to newer players as well.
So basically, if I was just to sum this up with what you're saying, is that there's an element that mains and other accounts are missing from the Herblore training method that Irons experience. And as a result of that, there's going to be this pull in one direction or another if Herblore is one of the skills that is focused upon, with the Jack of Trades removal and potential other pieces of content that could come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It would not be a bad thing for Herblore to be, I would use a word that's more descriptive than like easier, right? Because like that can mean a lot of different things. That is less painful. That is
more direct.
Mm-hmm. You can make changes like that, and that would be beneficial, but it doesn't need to. You don't need to replace, if Herblore, is, you know, like 20 times faster to lamp it through these various methods versus training it properly. It's probably longer than that, but let's just say 20 times faster. You don't need to replace 10 of that 20x with additional experience sources. Maybe you need to replace 5 of it. And there will still be ways that experienced players can route through that at an expedited rate. A lot of that is going to come down to quests, I think, that's the way that this tends to come in through old school, at least.
Yeah.
And I know, like,
and I mean,
I am a little like hesitant to use old school as an example all the time, because like I know that that's not
well.
Just because old school does something doesn't mean that's the right way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to make 2 points on this. One, I think one of the core theses of the Road to Restoration needs to be that RuneScape doesn't need to become old school. That's point number 1.
Yeah.
The second point is that this is about identity and what the game is post Treasure Hunter. And that identity needs to be figured out. Is the game going to be slower and more OS-like? Or is it going to maintain the same kind of progression track that it's at right now? Because I think there's a very real world. If people are on the side of wanting it to become more OS-like in terms of that progression and pacing, then the answer to that is simple. Those who want that, just go play OS Irons, or OS in general.
Right.
And damn the combat system. So. Yeah, I know. Zerdones, does that satisfy? I know. Zerdones, does that satisfy you?
I mean, it sounds like the issue that I keep coming back to is that it sounds like the fundamental problem isn't so much any of these individual decisions. It's the fact that the RuneScape community is hardwired, it seems, to find the best solution and then disseminate that down into newer players. So newer players don't learn the game in an organic way. They read the guides that were written by crazy people like us, and then they just meta chase for the rest of their lives, and they become meta slaves.
Yep.
And I agree that is a problem. I am not entirely convinced that these are solutions to that problem.
That's fair.
That is very fair, right?
Because there's nothing
like this is downstream of that, right? And you can't. The game sort of selects for those types of players, right? So it's like
there's nothing that says
it is a difficult thing to solve.
There's nothing that says the Road to Restoration is about 100% lowering XP rates. It could be balancing up to replace.
I do think it's notable that none of us have assumed that.
The problem I have with they have not stated. Well, I mean, they have stated that in some places, but they have not stated that. But there are 2 things that are important to keep in mind with their goals for this. Is one, like, all of the stuff that we have already talked about in this conversation around this blog post. And then there's this other thing over here, right? Which is they want RuneScape as a game to be around for another 25 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you keep balancing up and you get to a point where all skills are balanced, like thieving is currently balanced, all players are going to have 200 mil in all skills in like a couple years of playing.
Yeah.
And then what? Because the game is a lot worse when you have 200 mil in all skills.
Every 2 months is a league.
But then you turn into old school. Every 6 months you've got a dead man mode and a league.
Yeah, a temp mode.
Okay. I have a feeling we'll be learning more about this soon. I want to get into their actual details on this. And then the other thing that they wanted to talk about is visual quality, which, I mean, sure, obviously, everything needs to be addressed.
Every 3 years, we go re-update Lumbridge or some free play area again, and then we get a certain amount out, and then we shrink back in, and we get a certain amount out.
It's how we know to bring in the harvest. As Lumbridge got a new visual update. sign of the changing seasons.
It's never not been a thing, and the question is, how far out can they get this time? If it's everything, great, but
well, I think the question is also like, I had a conversation. I had part of a conversation. I observed a longer conversation earlier today about like what their visual design actually means. And this was one of the few concrete pieces of information I pulled out of this, is they want RuneScape to be a grounded medieval fantasy. And there is a very real question, pardon my mumbly mouth, what exactly does that mean, and how rigidly do we stick to that? Because like there's a credible argument that grounded realistic fantasy, well, that's old school. We have that. Yep. So what is RS3 that keeps that different?
I honestly think that if you old school, you keep how it was. But I think what you try and do is you try and have a similar visual identity between the modern RuneScape properties, RS and Dragon Wilds, to the point that the engine will allow it, because on the episode where Lumbridge and Mistling got updated, we pointed out that things looked a lot Dragon Wilds like.
Sure, for visual style.
So
yeah, even if there's not shared assets, there's a shared design vision.
Yeah, exactly.
Zerdones, I have one litmus test question for your statement about what the identity means. Muskets, in or out?
Muskets?
Eastern lands. Yeah, we have allusions to muskets all throughout the game. Yeah,
like muskets, like the guns.
Yeah. Well, like I mean, we have hand cannons. Where do hand cannons fit in?
We have Incando pistols.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we have pirates. I don't know.
Yeah, we have pirates. I mean, like,
there's so much that's sort of on the edge that we always kind of ignore that we could. I think Sixth Age was pulling a lot like the magic science type stuff in, which maybe that was the too far side. But then there's this other side of like firearms and gunpowder and stuff that
Terragard is one of the questions that came up in the
that could
I had earlier.
Never be a thing.
Where does
with
Terragard fit?
A strict definition.
Where does
Erebus sit? Or in that kind of stuff?
Where does Erebus sit? Where does the World Gate sit? Where does like are we gonna retcon Zenaris as the moon? Is that too far?
Yeah, once we're talking about planets and stuff, once we do Vampirium, I mean, are we going to treat it more like a dimension? There's a lot of questions here, and I feel like every time we circle this question, everyone has their own favorite thing, and it's different from someone else's favorite thing.
You know what we need?
Kind of outside the definition of everyone else's.
And then I think a related question is, once you settle on that, what do we do with all of the existing Sixth Age stuff? Because a lot of that you really can't pull out of. Like there are some ways that you can define grounded medieval fantasy that you really cannot retcon the Sixth Age stuff to fit into. So what do you do with it?
Spicy.
Can I let me throw something out here?
Yeah.
Yep.
The way that I am currently reading this grounded medieval fantasy, right? That's the language that people keep coming back to. Because it was used, right?
Yeah.
I look at that and I'm like, okay, this is the basis of the world, and then everything else builds out of that. This is our starting point, and then things go off in this cannons, dwarven engineering, cave goblin electricity, and the gods and all this sort of stuff. But like, if you just come in and you're as a new player, you're dropped into Lumbridge, you're wandering around Misthalin, it looks medievalish. I'm not an expert on historical architecture or anything, right? But like, this to me looks
has verisimilitude.
What I expect medieval England to look like. You go through Arduin, you go to Camelot, it all fits. And then once you get past those surface level quests, you've got your traditional, we think of like the traditional RuneScape, like the free-to-play quests. You've got your Dragon Slayer and stuff. That all fits within that. and then you can then there's this next level where there is this more outlandish stuff, and it builds and it builds.
I see
and
what you're doing. So you have a core base,
that might save it.
And then the stuff.
That's how this was developed, right? Is like we had this core idea of like, well, what if we do, what if we had this medieval game, and then everything's been built on top of that.
You
know, like
the problem that's come out is that some things from the way down that branch have now circled back to being visible very early on. Like Tuska was a good one to go. Imagine the Penguin's TARDIS in the desert probably shouldn't be there. To be seen. Yeah.
Is that
immediately?
Because
it's never not there.
It's never not there.
It's not phased. Which is a little bit strange.
They could add some. They really could and should add some quest flagging for stuff like that.
They always should have. Yes.
What
I guess
want.
Where I. Go ahead, Shane.
Okay. This is a quick one. What I want is somebody in a position of power to come out, whether it be the executive producer or, from the sounds of it, Maud Ryan here, focusing on the principal designer role. I want somebody to come out here, give their 15-minute pitch of what is the grounded world that RuneScape sits in.
I really like this. Yes, I agree. And I really like this thread that, Lemon, you started in my mind of everything you see in the beginning should be the base, because it was the base, and the problems, and then but like I think that then applies to player gear. Then always has to look grounded, because you could see that on anyone at any time. Maybe so. Like there's rules we could set in place.
Yeah, that's another
feel more organic. Whereas you see the guy come in with jazz hands and. We'll get to that in a blog next week or something. But player items and cosmetics, I think we have to be a little harsher on maybe than like world where we can have flags and stuff.
Yeah.
And timing.
Yeah.
That's then can you? Is it reasonable to then make that constraint when you can have a player who has gotten into Vampirium? Or into like dwarven stuff. Like I like, what if I want to rock the, I don't know, like I want to rock
elven
my
ghillie suit.
That's what I'm saying. I think everything that could be output from that has to
look
world. More medieval than maybe you could see in the world. So like it has to look a little more medieval fantasy than Bloodborne, the stuff from Vampirium or whatever.
But then I now stand out in that world. Is that what we're going for?
I mean, I don't know.
Like if I'm really into the aesthetic of I keep harping on Vampirium because it's the next big area we're going to. Like if I'm really into the aesthetic of Vampirium and I want to design my character around the aesthetic of Vampirium, am I allowed to do that? Is that okay? Am I allowed to do that in Lumbridge?
It comes down to what the devs view as being grounded enough. Because you could make a decision, well then, whatever is RuneScape, because RuneScape is different than Gielinor, right? So whatever is RuneScape works that you can wear in Gielinor, and it's kind of like Star Trek Online. It's set in the year 2413 right now, but it is a Star Trek theme park MMO, so you can run around with the setups from the original series, next gen, or even all the modern future stuff that's been happening. It is that kind of theme park MMO. So that discussion of grounded really does come back to, is it grounded in the surface world of Gielinor, or is it more grounded in what is RuneScape?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately the question always boils down to how rigidly are they going to follow it, and that's a question we don't have an answer to.
Yeah.
Because like Lemon, you're absolutely right. There's nothing about that definition of grounded medieval fantasy that intrinsically means they can't advance beyond that to do different things. Like grounded medieval fantasy can mean, like, I think probably the thing that most people will first think of is Tolkien, which like that covers both the Shire and like Numenor. Which I mean, I'm a Tolkien geek. I just outed myself, but like
it's on the
difference.
The poster was doing that for
I know we're not mentioning the video, but it's on the poster behind you.
Yeah, it is the poster. That's the poster for the Lord of the Rings musical.
Oh, now I wish I had a view where I could go solo face and show the people the biggest
There's a
ones.
Lord of the Rings music. I mean, like, that's not surprising to me because, like, of course there would be, but like, I've never heard of this.
Well, there's actually two. So this was the original one. It was in Toronto for a couple of months, and people really didn't like it, so they reworked it. And then there was a second one. I went to see the first one. But anyway, we're getting a little distracted.
And
like the difference. What I mean is like the difference between the first 10 minutes of Fellowship of the Ring and the Rings of Power TV series that's on. I just completely blanked on who's airing it. Amazon.
Doesn't matter.
Amazon. Yeah.
And
like
and
the
as
difference between those two settings, those are both the same universe. So you can do that kind of spread.
And as it goes
it's
here,
just a matter of how rigid.
When we start tangenting, it's time to move on.
Yes. Yes. I was trying to bring it back there.
So
like you can do that. It becomes a matter of like how far do you want to stretch it?
Right.
Yeah.
And they want to go various directions for these, and we can speed run these.
Skilling been taking a while.
Skilling wise, they say many feel neglected, especially the low and mid end. I think we all agree with that. They talk about bloat, gaps, and power creep, as well as inconsistencies.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Then comes combat, which we're experiencing in the combat beta right now. A confusing and inconsistent progression and pacing with inconsistent access to weapons and armor.
I think
one of you wanted to say something on combat.
Oh,
and
I think it was Lemon. I think.
Necromancy. So like necromancy has been problematic for a couple of reasons, but like the major one is that it provides it was intended to do this, but that doesn't mean that it was a good thing overall. You know, it was intended to be a way to bring new and existing players who didn't really engage in combat, to get them to engage in combat.
It worked.
And to like give them a fast pass into the end game. And it did that very well, but it was at cost. There is a lot of stuff that has become irrelevant because of necromancy. It is very common for players to level up necromancy, use their max necromancy gear to farm the best in slot gear for other styles, and then to start using other styles. And we're addressing the ability side of this issue with the combat beta, but we're not addressing the item side of this issue with the combat beta at all.
And that's what they say, inconsistent access to weapons and armor. So presumably at some point there might be a solution on that side of the equation, no?
I mean, it seems like the solutions are either make necromancy gear harder to get or make other gear easier to get.
Or both. Right.
Or both.
You know, you don't have to make necromancy gear as difficult to get as, you know, just to use a solid example, you don't need to make getting tier 70 necromancy gear as difficult as it is to get a full set of Bandos armor. You could increase the drop rate on Bando, slightly tweak that up so that it's not kind of pointless to get. And you can also make it so that the requirements for either the unlock for the gear or also like the making of the gear itself for necromancy make that more difficult. One of the things that I hadn't considered at all until I was leveling the game is like, because normally you'd only ever make one set of necromancy gear and then you've got your necromancy gear forever. But if you're training invention, necromancy weapons are extremely cheap to make. So there's no point in using siphons. You can just disassemble your gear. It's level 90 gear, but all you need is a few bars. and you've got free augmentable level 90 weapons. It's really, really astounding.
And I think you get to a point where you have to ask, is that a problem? Because, when Necromancy came out and everything I was doing on the main and then the early GIM stuff, that was a welcome change for me, and to be able to effectively get people into PVM. But at the same time, I do see what it did to the other three combat styles.
Yeah, I mean, that's the trade-off. Is I know people who have gotten into combat in a deeper way because Necromancy allowed them to. That's a
good thing.
Unambiguously a good thing. That is a positive. Yeah. The harder you make Necromancy, the more you're punishing those people. And there's a degree to which making things harder for people in games isn't bad. Like, games should have a bit of friction. That's kind of the point of games.
Yeah.
But there is a point at which that becomes needlessly punishing players who don't want to engage in a certain type of content.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, friction is a very good word, right?
So,
one of the things I consider is that RuneScape 3 has become a very frictionless game in a lot of ways. And adding in more of friction, that is going to be part of this next year.
And friction, when accompanied by good game design, creates longevity in the game. And fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, Necromancy has been... There have been parts of Necromancy that have been very good for the game, and there are parts of Necromancy that have been detrimental for the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. It's a completely different design direction, having all of the gear being crafted, and you can make it fairly quickly with just like some skill checks for like which bosses you have to go kill.
Like I think to solve
versus
the gear,
everywhere else is like RNG blocks.
To solve the gear problem for the other three legacy styles, I think if you just have tank armor up to level 90, I think that's probably decent enough. I don't know that you need a power track starting at 70 that Necromancy has.
We do have tank gear up to 90.
I know.
Yeah.
For some skills, not for all of them. Melee does.
Melee does, yes. So we have to make every other skill mining and smithing, so I heard. Yeah.
Ranged does, but I think the higher level tank gear is sucked to get.
There's
I'm thinking
Dragon, Dinosaur Hide, which is maybe 85.
I think it's 75.
75?
Too much credit.
Yeah.
No, you're right. But I was thinking mining and smithing. So
and Star Bloom.
And Star Bloom.
Which is that's
90 with 1 plus 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, 90 you've got Acto for range, which is like you've got.
And then we're about to have tier 90 with 110 Hunter.
Yeah.
Is there an 80 for magic?
You've got 85 for the ports armor.
Right. Ports armor. Yeah.
That
well, the
takes
problem
a
with like
huge
the
amount
crafting stuff is that we're starting at the level 100 to 110 band, and that didn't do
right.
And that doesn't really help anyone. Okay. Visual identity. Sorry.
Yeah,
are you guys done with combat?
Level 80 tank is second age, so maybe we don't.
Yeah, no, not so much. So we
don't talk about that one.
There are gaps.
Yeah,
there are gaps.
Yeah, I mean, but like that being said, it's like you've got 75 with magic, and it's Scanaderma. Put aside the conversation about like for mining you just need smithing, but for magic you need Slayer and crafting and all of that. You do have options with Ganodermic. And Ganodermic is very good, and magic gets more out of its tank gear because of Animate Dead. So anyway.
Yeah, no, I think that we could go that direction if we want to make everything easier.
And see, the other option is that you just add, because I don't think it's very important to note that there's no changes in the combat beta to Necromancy. None.
Nothing to gear. Yeah.
So with that, it is very clearly focused on the legacy styles. So maybe there could be an option for, some form of power armor that's easier, or not easier, but more difficult to get than the Necro ones. I don't know. Visual integrity and environment of the game world, inconsistent art and character cosmetics. We just spent an entire chapter on that, so we harped on that. Overly fast and easy area access, Outfits that are overloaded with functionality and other similar mechanics about outsized impacts on banking loops. RIP lodestones?
RIP clues.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty obvious that part of what they're looking at here is lodestones. I don't know if they're going to get rid of them or if they're going to
you could fin them and put some requirements on.
Put requirements on them is what I would do personally. Yeah. We already have that precedent with, I mean, what is it? The lodestone, the Fort Ferndale lodestone,
Desert,
the Prifddinas Desert,
yeah.
and
Lunar Isle,
that one.
Outfits.
So, you could lock the Varrock ones behind. I mean, you could do achievement diary. I don't know that that's a great solution because achievement diaries suck. I know they're called area tasks, but I still call them achievement diaries.
Lock it behind Dragon Slayer, because that's right next to the champions.
Yeah, you could lock it behind Dragon Slayer.
Or, something like that.
I mean, it
lock it behind.
It doesn't
Princess
have to be
Pauper.
Dragon Slayer, but lock it behind some relevant quest in the area.
Just the dog quest. That's it.
Absolutely. Eat quest.
When it comes to outfits, I think I see elite skilling outfits in here, but you mentioned clues.
Right?
Elite skilling outfits.
Yeah.
They are too much.
Yeah, and I mean they were initially treasure hunter, right? And I think you can get most, if not all of them.
The problem with
you can get all
skilling outfits is that you mentioned elite skilling outfits, and I was like, oh, you mean combine them all into one mega outfit? No. Other way.
Yeah, and put them in game through actual skilling rewards.
The thing I find interesting about the conversation around elite skilling outfits is people who don't like elite skilling outfits, they want to go back to a situation where there's more horizontal diversity in skill slots, which I'm not saying is intrinsically a bad thing, but that means that you're going back to a situation where you have to choose very carefully what equipment you're bringing to what situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Sounds great.
I think we already had good diversity with that in the heists, as an example.
Well,
because the loadout for both heists is different.
What I'm getting at isn't that just what Slayer was in 2005 that people didn't like?
Oh my God.
Well, people were wrong.
Okay, the customer is never wrong.
I think part of why that might end up different from a practical standpoint is that you will have, rather than each Slayer task requiring a different thing and having to constantly switch between Slayer tasks as the nature of the skill, you could have a situation. One of the ways that I envision a change to skilling equipment being that, say mining for example, you could have a system that leans into the Rockertunity aspect of mining for more active play.
Yep.
And you could have an outfit that is not as good for, I mean, I say outfit, it could just be, a singular slot. You could have an item that would provide some benefit even if you're actively playing, but would be better than an alternative if you're doing a lean back, not worrying about Rockertunity, it's just AFK mining.
Something more focused around stamina mining.
Sure.
Increases stamina mining. Yeah, that could be a really good. Or
you can do one
really great.
Extra production, extra ores, min-max different whatever levers there are. Mining's a great one to talk about because they added a lot of levers, and we've really not gone back to touch a lot of them.
It is one of the few skills that benefits from fire making, smithing at least. That side
smithing does, yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit strange, but
I think mining there is a strength or agility. One of those.
Mining
there
is
a word in my head, Lemon, that is springing to mind from what you're saying, and the word is switchscape.
Sure.
I have a
switchscape for skilling.
You can only equip items at a bank.
I'm gonna go.
There are certainly considerations for that.
This is not the game I want to play.
Charging 9.
Charging 9 all day.
Charging 9 on. Listen, people make fun of me because I do frequently bring switches for skilling, but it's I wear a Ring of Whispers and I bring a Luck of the Dwarves for the Saren Spirits, right? It's this is not significant switching, but people do make fun of me.
But the vast majority of people don't
for switching for my skilling.
I mean,
I sense that becoming a larger issue with at least the model that you described. Like I can absolutely foresee that problem, because that's essentially what created the problem of Switchscape in combat.
Yeah,
is you have all of these items that have unique, or not unique, but they have beneficial interactions to certain states.
Yes.
And so I just want to have all of them.
Yeah, and I mean, it's sort of like the natural conclusion of when you have different things.
And that's how we get
different
skilling outfits.
Yeah. Elite skilling outfits are, they're a solution to that problem where they just give you all of it.
But we're not talking about getting rid of elite skilling outfits, right?
I mean, I am.
Yeah.
Breezy
I think that is on the table.
Do you think Breezy
I think we have to say that's on the table.
Yeah, he has talked about this previously. That
I was not aware of that.
A, some of these are just too powerful, right? B, it just eliminates all sort of design space for skilling rewards, because you can't add anything in.
Right, you can't compete
5
with
of the slots, and then in most of the other slots, you've got a main hand tool, you've got an offhand, you've got a ring, you've got an amulet. It's like the only thing that's left is the pocket slot, and there are already items that compete in there, right? So it's like skilling reward space is very constrained because of that.
Yeah.
Initially, Leela's favor from Pharaoh's Folly was supposed to be a runecrafting skilling item in your glove slot, and then they put it in playtesting, and everyone's like, "Well, I can't remember.
Why would you?
RC outfit, so no."
Yeah.
So they made those buffs passive. And now we've ended up with a bunch of passive things to get around that.
We are having this wonderful discussion here. But if you go and you say, "Hey, Reddit, we're removing elite skilling outfits, and you're going to have to go and get these 3 other things to do the same thing and change." So how do you feel?
Here's the solution. I thought that this went through a lot. Everything on the elite skilling outfit, you put a different effect on a different slot. So your XP boosts on the head, and then your stamina boost is on the gloves, and then your extra ores are on the body.
Right.
And then once you have them all separate, you don't have to wear all 5 anymore. One new thing comes out. Now you weigh that against the existing gloves, the gloves against the gloves, and maybe that's worth it. But that is a way to do it without taking away anything to start. Yeah. And then you take away one effect, or offer alternate for one effect at a time.
Do you guys see the problems here? And we've only been going for just under 2 hours. Do you see the problems here?
We're solving them all for them right now.
This is why they get paid the big bucks.
Who are captive audience,
they get paid to do this,
and want to listen to this, and see it through. But you have to explain each and every one of these changes without stepping on a mine.
Can I step on a mine?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the whole tone of this entire roadmap is not just stepping on a mine, but barreling headlong into the minefield.
Yeah.
If you trigger them all at the same time, maybe you only have to go to the hospital once.
If we just run fast enough, it'll be fine.
That's what they did in a James Bond movie with a hovercraft.
So we have been talking about skilling outfits and some of the effects on those. Mm-hmm. In this bullet point, there is a phrase that I did not expect to see, because I don't see anybody talking about it other than the guy I keep talking about whose name begins with M. And that's banking loops. We don't do banking loops anymore.
We've optimized banking out of everything.
Shit.
The only time you bank is when you need more porters.
This
or
this
you're
has always
done
been very
with
prevalent
training.
But with the first iteration of the ranged combat beta, the amount of times I saw someone say, "Yeah, it's great, but rangers have sustain, so what am I supposed to do? Eat food?"
Yeah.
I mean, you can now with it only being 3 adrenaline.
Using inventory out of anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that food is viable again.
If I had...
it kind of sucks that, like, Necromancy, you don't need to heal, and then every other style you need to guzzle food.
If I had some glue and some posters, I would be putting posters up outside of all the banks. The end is coming. After seeing what's here.
So, on this banking loop point, do you... Obviously, the shark outfit has a, still talking about outfit. Mm-hmm. The shark is like the major outfit contributor here. But obviously there's the porter angle, there are the ore box angle.
Yep, all the boxes.
What do you anticipate them reining in? I imagine the shark outfit is on the chopping block to some degree, because that enables like 15-minute AFK for no cost. That seems too much. I say that as somebody who is currently fishing right now. But like porters are sort of like the one of two reasons that the divination skill exists, right?
Yeah, I really struggle to envision them rolling porters back too hard.
Archaeology was definitely designed around porters.
Right.
I don't know, Shane, if you have any insight in this, but does old school ever offer extra inventory for certain things past like a second inventory, like ever more than 28?
I mean, aside from like the obvious like rune pouches and essence pouches, no.
Rune pouches, the fish
if we limit ourselves to
barrel.
never more than double inventory, maybe that's, I don't know. You have to put numbers to it of what's acceptable, because you can't get rid of all the storage things. Like that's not RuneScape, but there has to be. It can't be.
You know, I watched some of the. Hang on,
storage is
something.
A reward space. Yeah, okay.
I watched some of the old schoolers doing leagues, and they preferred our wood cutting with the wood box to their forestry with their much more limited wood box. So I don't necessarily know if things like the wood box and the ore box are a problem.
Not to mention, in the same update, we added the wood box in. I believe the same update. We added all these nice log deposit areas in the Woodcutter's Grove that no one's ever gonna touch.
Yeah. I mean, porters really are the biggest offender here, and I don't see them rolling that back.
Can we just delete divination?
Yes.
And make invention a regular skill that you get divine charges from
practically
somewhere
speaking,
else?
Yes. As a
There's enough energy on loot tables at this point.
Like, let us just make energy by burning wood.
As a student of game history, I have kind of an inbuilt knee-jerk reaction against removing content. But...
Yeah, I know. I'm not being serious.
If
they've said remove bloat like many times in this blog.
If we're removing skills, can we talk about strength?
Oh my god, yes.
We'll save it for the combat beta.
Oh my!
I feel like that's. I feel like strength
the best
is one of
justification
those
I've seen for strength.
Please justify strength to me.
I'm sorry.
The best one I saw is that the other skills require ammo. This melee requires a second skill.
I'm sorry.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
think you can genuinely make that case in OSRS, but I don't think you. Maybe after the changes go live in the beta and like ammunition is actually relevant again, but I don't think it's a significant enough cost. Right?
I just want to say that I'm done.
Shane is tapped out.
When this year are getting content, like if they have all of this to look at, and every day I look at Reddit or Twitter or whatever, the expectations get bigger and bigger that they're going to do everything. Like so many posts like the Comet beta needs to have bigger scope. It's like this is one problem out of 50 to start with.
Yeah,
and it's because
this is how we get shelves.
Of sitting with you three smart people.
The shelf is empty now that the player avatar is off of the shelf.
Yeah, right.
Because
there's tons
of
of room on the
sitting
shelf now.
With you three smart people here, I just see pitfall after pitfall of what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm reading between the lines. We're reading between the lines. I don't want to sound like an internet conspiracy theorist, but this episode said what's coming.
I think that the way I view it, that doesn't get me, but the way I'm okay with it is that I am fine if the combat changes come into the game on February 26th or whatever the date is, and it's not perfect.
Yeah.
There's so many people that won't be okay with that. There should have been beta longer. Yeah. This is broken. I'm quitting. Yada yada. Yep. I get that if we're doing all of these big changes so fast, it's going to be a little bit of crash and burn. Yeah, maybe bossing kind of sucks for a week, but
it's gonna. It's gonna suck because people are gonna have to relearn no matter what, right?
Yeah, it's gonna suck no matter what. But I think we have, if we're gonna do the fast iteration version, we have to be okay with things being broken in game, letting people actually try things and get all the data really fast. We can't talk about it forever, do it all, keep it all behind the scenes forever, do betas forever.
That's going to be the litmus
fast,
test. Because you can't. If you try to expand the scope to do everything perfect, you'll never ship anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to ship imperfect updates and then be okay with tweaking it over time.
Do they have somebody
One
cracking
problem with
the
that?
whip?
I'm sure they do. Fast. I mean, that's what producers are for.
Yeah.
Well, they don't want to be doing this for 5 years. They want to be doing it in like 1 to 2 years.
Right. Like there are two problems with doing it that way. One problem is, well, that's what we've been doing for 20 years, and apparently people don't like where we ended up.
Mm-hmm.
Problem two is, it's Reddit, is you need to manage expectations with your players. And I guess the sub-problem to that is, I said this on the integrity bit, we know what Jagexs does when the players pitch a fit. What have they always done historically?
Bend over.
Start making seasonal updates or something.
I mean, roll back over.
Put out a hostage video.
Yeah. Hostage video, hard pivot, radio silent for 6 months.
Remove Treasure Hunter. Oh, wait, we can't do that again.
Bring back Treasure Hunter just to remove it.
Sorry, okay. This has been fun, actually.
It's easy to criticize. It's easy to criticize, but this is why Mod Breezy and Mod Ryan and all the mods whose names I'm not mentioning, but who also are important. This is why they make the big bucks, or the bucks.
They make the bucks.
We're just peanut gallery.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a lot easier to theorize on things and not actually have to implement them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I hope this has been useful to them.
Yes.
There's one more point on this list. I had a list of big questions, but we went even bigger than that, so I'm not even going to bother there. They mentioned restoring the integrity and difficulty of Ironman modes, and Lemon, you would be the one to ask about this.
Make Herblore suck again.
Make Herblore suck again.
Woo!
Anybody who has been paying attention to the Ironman modes at all over the past 11 years will be aware that they have been very inconsistent. And it's not just been a softening on rules, which makes sense to a degree, right? So in the beginning, Irons couldn't do anything with other players. You couldn't boss with mains, which was something that was relaxed when Crisis was released.
You were locked out. Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't dungeoneer. Couldn't
dungeoneer with other players at all.
Yeah.
They relaxed that to now Irons can dungeoneer with other irons, and like that made sense initially, right? It made sense that you couldn't boss with mains when the mode was released because they didn't want you
boosting,
loot sharing and going to Bandos and getting your armor, right? That sort of thing. It made sense to ease that up over time, but there have been things that have been really out of place. One of the things that Mod Breezy pointed out as an example of this was the Infinite Porter events that they ran a few years ago for
they did a bunch of them.
I don't remember.
They did one for Vorkath. They did one for Golden Party had the 200.
One for Gate of Linus.
Yeah, one for the Gate. They've done several of them.
Yeah. Those were obviously not in line with the core understanding of Ironman mode, but the thing that like I really feel like with this is that like I don't know that we all agree on what.
No,
I know we don't all agree on what Ironman mode is.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I feel like part of the problem is there's a lot of division. As an outsider, obviously, I feel like there's a lot of division within the Ironman community, which contributes to this problem. It's not so much Jagexs being inconsistent as it's they're trying to cater to different groups at different times.
What's stopping the No MTX faction from becoming mains at this point, though? So at least there's one less voice in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's a really great point, right? Because one of the... I don't know how many players became Irons because of this, but there were certainly a lot of players who got fed up with MTX and then started an Iron because of it. I think the people who... there have been a number of people who I have known who have de-ironed over the years, and usually it's because like they can't be bothered to deal with like resource upkeep and some of the more fiddly stuff that you have to deal with. Which is, you know, like a separate issue. It's like, are there things that are imbalanced
some
in terms of resources?
Like, I want to know trading, but like for boss drops, I do want someone to go get my potions and
potions
stuff like
or ammunition has been a big touch point with range. You know, again, this is not the combat beta episode, but like I still think there are improvements that need to be made there in the combat beta.
This is the accidental fire making and fletching episode. Yes.
Oh my god! God! Tangent. The accidental fire making and fletching update is like my favorite. Before they made the changes to it, that's my favorite skilling content.
Oh, that's good.
I still go to Zygos all the time. I did it in leagues.
Yeah,
it's great.
The modes are understood differently by other people. It'll be great, even if we don't all agree. It will be wonderful to have a setting of expectations, because we haven't really done. We have been talking about doing that for years, and that's not been done.
Mm-hmm. And I think they owe it to the Iron community, because of the ones that I've met, some of the most dedicated players out there, specifically to the mode itself.
Yeah, and people talk about Ironman mode as being the hard mode of RuneScape, which I don't agree with.
Including in this blog post that we're talking about.
Yeah, and it's like, I understand why people think that about the game mode is more difficult, but it's not.
But it's not hard mode.
It's not intended to be a more difficult mode. This may be a silly analogy. I made this analogy earlier today, I think. Playing Ironman mode is sort of like if you decided that you were going to make all of your meals from scratch.
Instead of
like going out to a restaurant or ordering
or even getting like the pre set together, just put it in the oven thing at the store. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And like some of the pain points that Irons experience is like suddenly there'll be a thing where like, you know, normally you've been doing what all people do when they make things from scratch, is like you buy your flour, you buy your sugar, you know, whatever, you're making bread. And then there'll be like this one thing where like the equivalent in this metaphor is like they expect you to grind your own flour suddenly. They expect you to grow your own wheat and grind your own
from
flour.
The wheat step, yeah.
And it's like nobody signed like
how high up the tree do you go is effectively what you're saying.
Well, it's like, that Carl Sagan quote, right?
I'm not familiar with the Carl Sagan quote.
In order to bake an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe.
How we have gone from discussing the roadmap and integrity updates to inventing the universe.
Inventing the universe. So one last thing I'll say about Ironman modes is like I have heard it described recently that like you can envision trading with other players as a form of accessibility. And like that's a really interesting way of looking at it, where it's like there's this thing that you don't want to do, you're unwilling to do, or you can't do. Like if you can't do Zamorak to farm for Bow of the Last Guardian, you can just buy one.
Yep.
Like that can be looked at as a form of accessibility. I think that's an interesting way to frame the discussion. Ironman mode ends up being more difficult, but the difficulty is not the point. It's the fullness of the experience that's the point. So we'll see where that conversation goes.
Yeah.
It's an interesting conversation because I think it has a lot to do with the identity of the game, which past Ironman mode. And I think that the Dinero thing illustrated that a lot, even with mains, where there was an expectation that from the people using the ammunition that it wasn't like
it wasn't meant to be used
supposed to be like a big factor
each and every day,
in them getting ammunition.
Yeah.
Even though they're a main who interacts with the economy and probably gets boss drops and sells them, they're like there was a large vocal player base that was like, I shouldn't have to pay a lot of money for this, and then like how much does the economy? But that update was very made around the economy.
But the thing is,
this kind of sucks to make, but some people will do it, and then those people profit because they're selling to other people. How much is the economy a factor in updates in account types.
Yeah.
And the thing with
RuneScape,
those Dine arrows is that they were
versus-
meant to be the premium arrow choice.
Yeah,
You
versus
didn't need
they
to-
are.
you didn't
oh yeah,
need to
and then we
use
get to Zerdon's
each and every
argument
day.
of like, oh, you have to optimize everything, otherwise, what's the point? I have to do the best thing.
Yeah. Okay. I want to go to one final thing before we wrap up. And I saw this the other day with a new browser that hadn't been on the RuneScape website. They call old school Gielinor like it used to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they call RS as it is now, not RS3, just RS, the Classic Adventure
Well, that was
Reborn.
always.
Was it always the Classic Adventure Reborn, or is that new language?
Well, no, they always branded it as RuneScape.
Yeah, it hasn't been
I think
3
RuneScape
since like
3
2015.
Yeah, it was a very brief part of the actual branding. It was more of a marketing term.
Okay.
Yeah, and it just sort of got adopted by the
But the
community.
Classic
because old school
Adventure
just
It's an easy
calls itself
distinguisher.
RuneScape all the time. Old school
Yeah.
players just call it RuneScape all the time, which is,
Yeah.
you know.
Which, leads to a lot of.
I looked at that page, Shane, a few months ago prior to like the rebranding.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what it said. I think it's the same.
Well, there's one way to find out. There's this website called the Wayback Machine.
There you go.
Yep.
Let's see if there's an
Is it
entry
just
on
me,
there
or
from,
is
like,
the old school and the
December.
RuneScape tags both kind of saying the same thing?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Classic Adventure Reborn and the way it used to be. It's kind of both harkening back to an older time.
So
For
if I
sure,
go
right.
back to...
Neither of them is the RuneScape of today.
Yeah. Yeah. I also can't help but notice, like, this is one of my recurring complaints with the marketing around the games is they don't do a very good job of distinguishing the fact that, like, RuneScape is still the old RuneScape.
Oh, I had to explain that last week to
Yeah.
someone in not digitally.
It's not very clear, and maybe
Sure.
it's one of the things that's very hard to make clear, but
It does. The one looks like the way it used to be, and one does not.
yeah.
It's not the audience's fault.
Not to tangent, but I read a blog post by a Doctor Who writer who was making a point about the concept of canon in fiction and how hard it is to explain that to people who aren't
boy.
really invested in fan
Right.
convention
Yeah.
stuff. It's like, oh, if it's got Doctor Who on the cover, why is it not Doctor Who? And like, oh, that's a conversation.
Yeah, same thing with Star Trek.
The Mod Jack talks on canonicity and the degrees
yeah.
and tiers is
So I got
Yeah.
it up here from when Leagues was happening, and it's still a Classic Adventure Reborn.
okay.
Okay. Yeah, so it is still the old.
It's been that way for a while then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
There's Dragon Wilds now.
yeah, Dragon Wilds is on there too. So
Dragon
for
Wilds is the
everybody
RuneScape
who's
of today.
stood with us
Kinda, yeah.
throughout this entire thing, just to wrap this
You
up,
doing okay? You hydrating?
who?
I'm on
Me?
my
Listeners.
second bottle.
Yeah,
The listeners.
I was ready to check out
Don't
from
break
this
the fourth wall.
because I saw what was
I'll have to
happening.
rebuild it.
What is everybody's big question on the way out here? Mine is, how are they going to sell all this to the player base?
Yeah. That is one of the important questions this year. My feeling over the past few months, and which has been reinforced by this blog today, the blog that we're going over today, is that the developers are moving in the direction that I want them to move in,
Same.
but a lot of the existing players do not, maybe not on all of these things, but on some of these individual things are not on board. And how do we collectively get them on board?
That's a very good point. That
It's been spun as a positive so far. So how do we keep the plate spinning?
We just have to not reveal any details. That's all we
Never
have
stop
to do.
the spin.
Exactly.
I one of the things that I think could be detrimental is when, call a spade, when there is a nerf, if the quote unquote solution doesn't come at the same time, right? So if
Yeah,
they
exactly.
If there even is to be a accompanying solution.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like, this example isn't great because, like, we know that one of the things that they're addressing in the early game balancing is agility, and Silverhawks aren't being removed until January. But, like, if they were to remove Silverhawks and then 2 months later is when they address agility, and I mean, they're starting, the way that they're doing it with these level bands is, I understand why they're choosing to do it that way, but if they were to remove Silverhawks and then 2 months later provide a fix for agility, whatever that looks like, there are people who are rightfully or wrongfully going to be upset by that, and it's hard to say that they're wrong. But also, like, people need to be able to look past the short term on this. This is such a long-term project, even past this year.
Yeah, that's the conversation we had earlier.
I think they mentioned 3 years in the post.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So. I missed that. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the conversation we had earlier. Like, yes, this is a long-term project. Players need to give Jagex space to do that. A lot of players aren't. Jagex needs to decide whether they're going to commit to this.
Yeah.
When the space is closed in by players, do we change course or hold space?
Yeah. I read it somewhere. It's not in this post, but it's somewhere. Okay, so Lemon's question is, how do you bring the people who are not on board collectively on board as a community? Zerdones?
I mean, I think the question that I keep coming back to is the question that is going to be answered, and that's just what ultimately is your vision for what the game is? Like, what do you aspire for the game to be? And that's kind of my complaint about this blog post in general that I laid out earlier, which is that's the question that we're trying to answer, and I still don't feel like I have one. I think we've spent 2 hours talking about what they could be doing, but we still don't know what they are doing.
Right.
And I don't necessarily mean like to the level of what specifically implementation details are they doing to low-level agility, but like I still don't feel like I have a good sense of what their
where are we going to be in 3 years from now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Does every skill have a tiered method that jumps up every 10 levels, so it's at least variable or something like that? Yeah, but like that's a direction they could go to be very formulaic about it. Yeah.
Okay. Avernick?
I think I came in thinking my question was going to be where does the new content fit when all these problems are so big? But now I think after talking about how big they are, I'm going to look back towards this stuff, and these things are so big. Where do they cut each one so they can move on to the next thing? Because each thing we talk about could be a year-long
endeavor,
thing, but they're going to be rapid paced, like the combat changes, and then the mid. How many things can you fit in an early game balance you worked on for maybe 6 months total if they've been working for so long in the background? Really, like, it's not going to be everything, and how are we cutting all the lines at every single piece? And then what happens after that when it's inevitably needs more? And then is everything here that we're working on iterative forever?
Fair.
Kind of.
And everybody who's here at the end gets a gold star.
Yay!
All right, time to talk about the combat beta.
Because I was ready to check out with some of the stuff we were talking about here, because I do not envy myself covering these things in the way that they're going to get talked about in the community at points, but it'll be okay. I got my friends to do the heavy lifting. Ay. All right. I love it. I really do. I want the game to go this way. I don't think it's bad. I just, for 11 o'clock at night, 2.5 hours in almost, it's tiring at this point.
Yeah, 1 a.m. in the morning.
But we'll be right. Yep. My Easterners. Oh boy. Okay. Well, with that, we're going to move on to achievements. Starting off on the 4th of February, we have Stinky Beat 22 with 99 Necromancy, Iron VSS with 99 Fletching on the 3rd, and Woody with 200 mil Thieving on the 3rd.
And February 2nd, I need to take a deep breath because Tim 2 absolutely popped off. 120 attack, 120 strength, and 120 magic. January 31st, Rippeth with 120 thieving, and not to be denied, one more time, Tim 2, 120 ranged again.
Somebody's reading the combat blogs.
I think someone got scared by the combat update coming up.
Wants to get combat out of the way.
On January 31st, we also had Westcase get 99 Slayer, and then on January 30th, we had Ada Darkmoor get 120 Fishing, and Miss Whipped get 120 Divination.
Okay, for other achievements, we've got Shane12088. I don't know who's that is.
Yeah.
With Ralph the Thieving Pet on February 4th. Imperialis again with the Thieving Pet on February 1st. And our dear friend Snail Mage with the Nodon Spike Harness on January 30th.
It's a Thieving Pet kind of week.
Yep. I made the decision to go and grab the master stethoscope for the tool belt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm not going to do the lockpick right now, but
don't worry. No, you don't need the lockpick for anything.
I thought it made chest go faster.
You need it for an achievement, but I think it does make chest go faster, but
yeah, it doesn't do anything in heist, just the stethoscope.
Oh,
okay.
I thought the
lockpick made
the lockpick does.
I thought it made the
do I
chest
have
go
that
faster.
backwards?
No, I think the stethoscope is only the stethoscope doesn't do anything. It's just on the tool belt, so it doesn't.
Okay, yeah, I got that backwards.
The
lockpick increases speed.
Better.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you need the lockpick. You didn't need the stethoscope.
Well,
I haven't bought it yet, so there's time.
Ooh,
there's time.
Okay.
There's time.
All right. And as we mentioned last week as well, if you have any interest in appearing on the show this year, or if you think you have something to offer to the community, you can check out our Help Wanted form at update.show/help. We ask you what time zone you reside in, if you want to appear on video, what kind of RuneScape player you are, what games you played, and the most important ones, where we can contact you and what your RuneScape name is. And it's worth noting that's primarily how you got here, Levin. So this is a venue for a lot of people to get on the show. But okie dokie. You have a pick of the week for us, and I'm glad we're doing this one over the other pick that I was presenting.
So Zerdowns, can you remind us what that Carl Sagan quote was?
In order to bake an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe.
We're not inventing a universe here, but we are making an apple pie, and we're making it entirely from apples? ?
Absolutely.
The pick of the week this week is a YouTube channel called Atomic Shrimp. The video that is posted is the 100% apple pie video he did a few months ago, which, as I will again reiterate, was a pie made entirely from apples. No flour, no sugar, no whatever else you would put in a pie, no cinnamon, just apples. He does a lot of strange things which seem to be unrelated, and the only through line is whatever this man is interested in at a given point. He does a lot of food stuff. He does a lot of wandering around the British countryside, some foraging. He does scam baiting stuff, if that's your thing. A lot of people like that.
Oh, those are wonderful.
Yeah, I found him through, he occasionally will do some sort of budget cooking challenge. A number of years ago that was, like £1 for one day type of stuff. Costs have kind of gotten away. And also, if you just do the same budget, you just end up with the same 6 ingredients every time. So,
one of the ones I'm looking at right now is nearly opium-free poppy seed lemon drizzle cake using homegrown poppy seeds.
Yeah, he's a big gardener. One of the things that he does, which have become my favorite videos that he does, is just like he calls them random stuff. It's just like clips that didn't make enough for a whole video. And a lot of that tends to be like garden updates or like updates on something that he made in a previous video. He does some homebrewing, that sort of stuff. And he always does a comment positivity section, which is just so lovely. You know, people have really interesting things to say or nice things to say or just fun stuff in it. And, you know, it's very easy to look at the dumb comments that people leave on videos. But it's really cozy to highlight some of the fun or interesting things that people say. So highly recommend.
Right on atomicshrimp.youtube.com/atomicshrimp, or just find the link to that one specific video over in the show notes at update.show. Well, that brings us to the end. We did it. We got there. We had the discussions that need to be had on this update week. And to think we were going to try and cram combat into this.
Don't worry, it's still vlogs every week.
Yeah, of course we've got combat next week as well as the daily scape and 2
or 3 vlogs, yeah.
And the other couple blogs, auras and early game balancing. So that'll be a fun episode.
I think they might push the auras blog till Friday, so you might be safe on that one.
They also might release another combat update next Friday. So
yeah, 2 of them.
Who knows when we'll actually get to the beta.
And as I've said, Thursdays are just lovely for new content. And I said today, Fridays are just lovely for new content. But if you want to hear this as it arrives, update.show/subscribe. We're on all the major podcast listening services out there. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, Amazon, and more, including YouTube as well, youtube.com/RSBANDB. If you want to see the video versions of the shows, you can do that there. And I should also mention, a few weeks back when we were discussing the integrity roadmap, we published the long-form Informer article on whether or not the road to restoration can save RuneScape, and I converted that to a YouTube video. So if you want to go and see that, you can go and watch that in YouTube form, about 7.5 minutes long. I felt that was a necessary thing to do, given the importance of that and what it needs to do. And still, see, if they're not successful, if these updates we talked about today aren't successful, then the integrity roadmap is not successful, and that questions the whole strategy, 5+ year strategy for RS. So that's why the road to restoration is so important. And there it be. But Avernick, always good having you here. Quest week, how we started so innocuous this week with Princess and her friend.
Just a tiny little dog quest at the start.
Come on, it's Quest week, he said. It'll be fun, he said.
You did have fun, right?
No, this was fun.
You have a good strategic mind.
Thank you. I appreciate it. No, it was good.
Always a pleasure. Also, of course, Lemon, good having you on with all your Iron accomplishments and just the deep dive into where we can go. I think everybody appreciates that, so thank you.
Yeah, always happy.
And of course, Zerdones, who I invited on last week again with Avernick. It's just it'll just be Quest week.
It'll just be Quest week. It'll be fine. We are living that Rick and Morty meme.
You sent me a GIF.
We're just going to pop in. It'll be a
quick 20-minute adventure.
You sent me a GIF when
something. What did I send you?
Because I said Quest Week episode next week, Thursday, ? With the dog emoji. Then you said, hell yeah, love a dog quest. And I said, what could go wrong? And then you put the slightly terrified dog.
Yeah, I put the dog getting worried.
What did you do, Shane? You jinxed it.
Shane jinxed it. It's all Shane's fault.
But do subscribe, get them as they arrive, and thank you so much, everybody, for your support. And with that being said, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of RSBANDB Update. See you then, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Woo!